Welcome back to the Four Podmen, the first show of 2021. We hope you all have had a very, very good Christmas. We hope you're all fat and ready to roll out straight to the gyms that you can't go to in January. And you're all going to be joining those poor, unfortunate people that have to be paid and join some Zoom classes, just like me. So, welcome to the show today. We're actually really happy to be back, even though it's only been a week. But we are in a new year. Hopefully, it is going to be a better year than the last year, but I doubt it. But let's hope it is. Let's hope it is. But I'll tell you one thing that is for sure, and that is that we are here for you, the Four Podmen. Me, your host, Ian the Dynamo Kelly, the DJ, Jason Kennedy, the Beef, Joe Doignan, and of course, your hookup holler if you hear him, the shopkeeper, Mr. Niall Hogan. Welcome, gents, and Happy New Year to each and every one of you.
And you, all good? Ready to rock?
Ready to rock and roll. Beef, you're here. Number two, it's your second show, Joe, and you're ready to rock and roll. You've got a big list of notes, and you're ready to make an impact today.
Yeah, it's as they say, the difficult second album.
The difficult second album.
we'll,
I like that. I like that.
we'll see how it goes. Well, I don't know if the first album was any good, but we'll see how it goes anyway.
First album was good. And of course, we've got Mr. Jay Kennedy here, who is Roy today. If you want to call him Roy.
Fuck yeah. Hello, the world. Call me what you want, just won't you call me?
If you need rims, an oil change, or an engine change, he's your man.
That's not even a
I am auto parts today. I know I'm a hardware store. If you need a hammer, some nails, I'll nail you some hammers.
You could even pass as an ice cream man.
Or if you need to know where Ed Gein lives, he can also help with that, because I'd say that's from that era.
It probably is, although in fairness, not much has changed in areas for people who wear shirts like this. God love them, you know.
If someone is missing in your town, there's a good chance Jay knows where they are.
I did not murder them. I haven't murdered people in weeks, pal.
No one said you did it, but you know who did.
Oh, everybody needs to calm the fuck down. Step away from the conversation.
Buffalo Bill, cue those wild horses, huh?
What the fuck?
Would you hardware me? I'd hardware me good.
It gets the hose. So yeah, that's a great start to the first podcast of 2021 for the Four Podmen. Guys, well, this is what we do, ladies and gentlemen. We bring you entertainment, and we hope we do, and it seems that we do, because we've had a lot of feedback of our last few shows, especially our first few shows on YouTube.
From our mothers.
from our mothers and others' mothers and all that kind of stuff. So it's been great. We hope to grow this in 2021, and so far so good. But today we have, before we get on to the main event today, because we are going to talk about, as we mentioned in the last show, we mentioned that we were going to talk about the Royal Rumble 1992 and Royal Rumble 2001. Only 9 years apart, but sound like so distant. But they are literally only 9 years apart. But before that, I suppose, a couple of bits from the week gone by. Obviously, there's been different news stories within the world of wrestling. There's been tributes, obviously, paid to Brody Lee, which is a good thing. We've heard people like Jim Cornette come out and actually praise AEW, which is, nobody ever thought would happen, but that's praising the show in dedication to Brody Lee. And we had some feedback as well, which I kept quiet for Niall. A lot of people are in agreement with you, Niall, on your I suppose your assessment on people's Twitter and social media activity in terms of their assumption on the death, of course, of Brody Lee as well. Saying that this isn't a time to be comparing people passing and whatnot. So pretty cool to have some good feedback, and that's direct feedback that I got through email and through social media. So It's
Excellent.
always nice to hear people, give their opinion and to know that they're listening as well. And sometimes we're not all going to agree on absolutely everything because we're four men in a world of billions who also have an opinion. So we like to share. We like to share the people that give us feedback. We like to, share.
Please be vocal. Please be vocal.
Exactly. If you hate
Help
us,
us help you.
damn straight, damn straight. So with that, it is a new year, new start for a lot of people. New year, new me, and all that kind of stuff. Not many gyms for all the fatties to go to, but guess what? You don't have to be a fatty anymore. You can go on Zoom and you can lose your weight. So let's do it. Let's lose weight together.
Check out Johnny Judgment over here with the fucking marshmallow ankles.
Hey, they're called cankles, okay?
Ankles.
No, all joking aside, it's true. It's although there's gonna be a lot of weight loss during this because people are going to sweat. People are going to sweat on this show. But no, all joking aside, all judgment aside, and all tributes to our fans aside as well. Let's get into it. We decided on the last show. It is Royal Rumble month. Obviously, it's January. And that is always Royal Rumble month. It's always the start of a new wrestling calendar, which is, to me, historically, has always been the most exciting time because whatever's happened in the previous year, people can come in with new characters and stuff like that, get into the Rumble, and you just never know who Vince or the powers that be is going to choose as the next guy. And it's fun. It's fun. It's exciting. But what this show is about is nostalgia, and I think today, especially Jay, I'll bring you in on this first. I think today it's fun for us purely because you said this to me a while back. As much as we actually kind of talk about these shows for fans, they also get a chance to go back and watch something that we haven't watched in a long time or possibly ever. And that's one of the great things that we do on this show. So for you watching Royal Rumble 1992 and 2001, which you probably haven't done since it came out, what was it like? And I suppose, how would you? I suppose you're the best salesman here, other than the shopkeeper.
Speak to Roy.
Other than the shopkeeper. But in terms of your words, for sure. Listen, you're Roy, man.
I'm here to help you.
Like in terms of how would you tell people in 2021 why they should be listening to the Four Podmen? What we are about, what our agenda is, I suppose.
It's a hell of a question, and it's an excellent thing to ask. The landscape of pro wrestling has changed so dramatically in every 10 years since its global televised inception that it's sometimes hard. You forget that there's very few entertainment products out there where you come in hot as a child and you're in the same audience as somebody who's maybe 50, 60 years older than you. And it's the beauty of pure professional wrestling is it's a generational bridge between people living in different areas from different places at different times. I got this a lot off this particular week's project, if you will, the comparative study of the growth and development of pro wrestling from 91 to I think it was 02, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it was
92 to 01.
92 to 01. I'm going to keep doing that. So if I sound like a fool by dropping that, that's going to keep happening. I'm hard word and I don't change. But it was fun. It was fun, and I love what this show is developing more and more. So it's almost like a helping hand and fresh eyes from four different perspectives on a product that's seen equally by so many at the same time. There's many different ways to view things. Perspective is everything in life, absolutely everything, from how you get out of bed to how you get into your grave. And having four men shoot the breeze, shoot shit, and talk happy about something that we love. I love there's so much hatred and negativity for wrestling from the unsoiled minority, and which we've touched on recently with the keyboard activities of the small-minded. That's nice to sit down and know that you're in a crowd of many people, and regardless of whether or not personas that you're currently a fan of are in the ring, you can still look past the facade of connectivity and see into the art, the work itself, and to watch it grow and develop as a sport and as a malleable subject to be product placed to different generations every 10 years. It's nice just to reflectively look at past generational works of body and just say, look, you know what, and that happens outside between bells doesn't really matter. The business happens between bells, and that's what pro wrestling is. And this one really kicked that home. Do you know what I mean? The idea of a comparative study between two manias or two Royal Rumbles only 9 years apart. 9 years is nothing. Do you know what I mean? I've had piss sessions longer than 9 years. Do you know what I mean? I've been drunk for longer than that. And I watched the difference in where the product was, how Vince was marketing it to us, and how we were enjoying it and appreciating it as a product. It's fun, you know.
I like it. And Joe, for you, obviously going back and watching some old product like that as well. 1992, you mentioned on the last show, you didn't really watch wrestling like ourselves back then, as I suppose as actively as we did. However, you know, I know that you're a big fan of all the workers that were working at that particular time. So I suppose without before we get into the show, what was this? And Jay, you know, named it very very aptly a project, because that's exactly what it was. We watched two different rumbles. We watched 6 hours of rumble within the space of a week. What were some of the kind of things you took away from doing that, and you know, in your assessment, I suppose, that you will give us later?
Yeah, well, as you said, like at 92, I would have known about wrestling and been a, you know, very casual fan of it. Like, but, you know, whereas 01, you know, that was my bag. I was mad about wrestling at that stage. You know what I mean? Real into it. And even like for a couple of years before that, but 92, it was, you know, it was only it was only something I kind of, it was just a bit of a hobby that I enjoyed the odd time. Like, but come around about 99, 2000, around that time, I was all about it. I was swapping tapes, trying to dig out pay-per-views and stuff like that. So, you know, so the 2001 Rumble is one I've seen a couple of times and stuff like that, whereas the 92 one, I don't think I've ever watched it end to end, but I've seen pretty much all of it over the years, if you know what I mean. Like, I've seen this bit at some stage, I've seen this match at another stage, but I've never watched it end to end. So it was great to do that.
Awesome. And same question to you, shopkeeper.
Yeah, I took away from it really that you know, in that 9 year period where so much had changed and developed, the actual core of the business was still the same. And that core that we love about the business and attracts us to the business was pretty much the same. It's just that the way they dressed the body was slightly different, and the way that they presented it was slightly different. But the actual core of it and stuff like that, like if you look away the matches are and the way they're put together and the way the card is put together, you know, there wasn't that much of a difference really. It's just really, it was like watching part one and part two of a particular movie. And the only thing that changed was the add-on actors, but the main event and everything else was pretty much the same, you know. And it was great to go back and look at it and, you know, see all these different guys and you know, so many of them we've lost, which was kind of sad really to reflect on really, but yet still they could still entertain us. And even today it stands up. Like if you think about it, if you go back and look at a lot of other different entertainment stuff from 1992, it doesn't always really stand up and it doesn't age well. But wrestling's one of those, as Jay says, one of those last art forms that like is timeless and ageless, really. You know what I mean? It sticks with you. You're either a fan or you're not. And I just found both of them brilliant. Absolutely brilliant to watch.
100%. From the carnival days to 2021, it's never gone away, and that's what we're about to get into now. So I suppose we're going to start with the Royal Rumble 1992, January 19th, 1992 to be precise, Albany, New York. They're running it from their territory, as Vince likes to do with the big shows, especially all the way up to the 80s to the Royal Rumble, to his big four, I suppose. Always like running them in New York. The Knickerbocker Arena. I'm sure it's obviously some relation to the Knickerbocker Glory Arena or something like that. But I'm sure it was some company at that point that had a reason for it to be called the Knickerbocker Arena, other than the fact that it was looked or tasted like an ice cream. I'm sure it wasn't Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
Don't go licking buildings.
Don't lick buildings, guys.
Don't do that.
We don't advocate for that on Dynamo's Dozen or Dynamo Podcast Network
or anywhere.
Or anywhere.
Or anywhere.
But we opened the show up with the new foundation, Jim Neidhart and Owen Hart, in what I can only say is spectacular gear, get up. It's just pair of baggy pants, those. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, to be fair. And of course, against the Orient Express, Kato and Patanaka with Mr. Fuji.
The gas thing about it is, Owen didn't look out of place in it. Only
No,
Jim did.
It looked good on him.
It was brilliant, like, you know what I mean?
Good on him. Yeah.
Someone definitely lost a bet. There's no doubt about it.
I guarantee Jim advocated for, the old foundation kind of get up, and Owen probably went, you know what? And we all know Owen's a ribber, so Owen probably went, well, I'll tell you what, if I beat you in this poker game, we're wearing my get up.
Yeah.
If you win, we're going old.
You could see the uncomfortableness of Jim in the gear, even. You know what I mean? Whereas Owen, like, he may as well have been wearing his wedding suit. He was grand, like, he was
grand.
Care.
He looked fine.
He looked brilliant, like.
It looks like something his wife knocked together from him. I hope if you love me, you'll one day wear these. I made them from the curtains we don't use anymore. Yeah, baby, I love you. It saved me $1.
Waste not, want not, right? And Jim Neidhart is definitely the latter on that particular statement. Want not. So it's actually it's a pretty long match. It's one of the longer matches on the card, to be fair. I mean, this is kind of when we see early on getting a more of a chance in terms of no blue blazer stuff. He's back as Owen Hart. He's a Hart. You see the head. There's no mask on, and you see some of the incredible work. It's a different dynamic, of course, than the Hart Foundation, the worker kind of side. You've got the younger high flyer brother in and whatnot, and especially against the Japanese guys. I think it's a great match personally. Does anyone want to take the lead on this?
Yeah, I sorry, I'm after interrupting somebody. For the first 3 or 4 minutes there, I thought it came off a bit slow, but once they got into the flow of things, once they got about 3 or 4 minutes in and stopped kind of openly talking to each other, and it stopped being so kind of like it was almost stop start for a few minutes, and I was looking at it going, yeah, this is not pleasant. And then the flow just kicked in, and it was I started enjoying it then, like you said, with the exception of the close.
Shopkeeper?
Like it was I disagree with you, Jay. I thought it was built quite well from the start. I know you found it boring. I thought it was just a slow build.
No, it wasn't boring. I was just looking at them talking to each other, and it was more like two men going through a pattern, and then it stopped being so visually cued, if you know what I mean. It started flowing like a match then. The first 3 or 4 minutes were very kind of like, and then it just kind of after that flowed in. It wasn't so much.
I think sometimes as well, those matches are needed too, especially as an opener, because sometimes, the crowd is only fresh in. They're looking at, sometimes that kind of chicken shit kind of thing can work a little bit where, it looks like a lot of dialogue that doesn't need to be done. So we can actually see both points there.
Sometimes when you're the first match out as well, people are still taking their seats.
Exactly.
So you might, for all we know, behind the camera was empty, and they were just taking it slowly, trying to wait till a few more arses were in place before they really took off. But I do wonder, like you're right, Jay, about about it being slow at the start. Just the way I viewed it was that it was a slow build to start. But I understand where you're coming from though as well. Like,
And I think because they knew they probably had 17 minutes as well was probably part of that as well, Joe.
Yeah, maybe they just didn't want to burst themselves at the start and have nothing left. But I really enjoyed it. Yeah. But like when you've got four good operators in the ring, you know what I mean? And it was a solid match. It was you had your hope spots, you had your hot tags, your missed tags. It was just classic. And when you do the basics well, you're going to have a good match, and that's it. And they did the basics really well. All five, because Fuji nailed his role too on the outside.
Fuji though, he's perfect.
The only criticism I really had of that match was when he hung up his walking stick and Owen Hart got whipped into it. Is they kind of it was almost like the commentators and all missed it. They didn't talk about it much. They did at the end. They showed the replay and they talked about it a bit more then. But
there's a reason.
The moment was past then at that stage.
There's a reason for that, because one thing that we don't mention at the start of this show, which I would be remiss without saying, is that intro to that show with Vince McMahon naming all 30 men in the voice is just...
I have that written down, yeah.
It's the most amazing thing ever. And obviously we can see that Bobby the Brain Heenan, and rightly so, has a lot of money riding on Ric Flair. You know, his sole purpose there is to not be a broadcast journalist today. It's purely there to watch Ric Flair win the main event. So his mind is elsewhere. And of course, Gorilla Monsoon, Noel, is trying to keep a professional show running. And Bobby the Brain Heenan here is just being a weasel and only worrying about what bet he has on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to expand a bit on what Jay said as well, like I thought there was kind of an awkwardness between the four of them in the beginning, more so than anything. But I think once they got into that sort of tag team mode and they started doing the double up moves and all that kind of stuff, I think it started to flow from there. Fuji is, he's always, he's the man always in terms of these things. Everyone's just waiting for it to happen and stuff like that. I noticed the thing, Joe, you mentioned with the cane. I think it was actually like, I don't think the camera angle was quite right on it, and like you could miss the cane if you didn't actually see the replay and stuff like that. You would have thought he nearly went into the post with the shoulder, not the actual cane. Because we have mentioned on a number of occasions here how their camera work is normally spot on and fantastic, but I thought on that one there they kind of just slightly missed it because the cane was so narrow as well, and because it was hanging down on those turnbuckles. You kind of like you missed it really. You know what I mean? But then once they
I'll add on that to no, sorry, no, I'm just going to add, you can continue your point. I just wanted to add to that as well. This is at a time when commentators like Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan and Jim Ross and all that we're going to talk about today, they didn't want the script. They didn't want to know who was going over and whatnot as well. So all they had was what was on their monitors. You know what I mean? So if the camera work wasn't great there, it probably lended itself to them not being able to react the way that you would want to. So
yeah,
sorry, Noel, go ahead.
Yeah, but then I think as we said, when you get the action replay of it later on, then they're brilliant at putting the point across about it, which I thought was fantastic. But I also thought if you look through the commentary as well, like Gorilla was constantly trying to tease Bobby out all the time. He was trying to kind of break that mold and get him out from, he, as you said, he was single-handedly focused, and it was nearly at times I thought Bobby was like just like ribbing Gorilla at times, you know what I mean? Like he just couldn't get him out of that mode, you know what I mean? So it was absolutely, I mean, we know the dynamic and the chemistry between the two was fantastic anyway,
Yeah. I'd agree.
It's an event in an event, listening to their cadence between each other, having a conversation over live broadcast and a 2-hour show. It's an event within an event.
Yeah.
Gorillas.
Will you stop? Would you stop? Will you be quiet?
Would you stop?
No, it's just so many different versions of.
Easy for you to say, Gorilla. I got money on this.
I'd love
money on this. I mean, this is just it sets the like during a match. They're one of the only commentary teams. I think Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan are, whatever way you want to put, and obviously Gorilla is the lead. So whichever guy you've got on color, they had an amazing ability back then to be able to kind of also comment on the match that you're looking at on screen and not deviate too far from what you're seeing on screen, but also build up the main event as well without being disrespectful to the guys and the women that are in the ring. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's that's phenomenal. But yeah, so I mean, it was a great match. Obviously, it's a huge win,
And
obviously, for the new foundation. But Joe, you wanted more there.
no, as I said, I really enjoyed it, but the bit that really stuck out to me was Owen Hart getting whipped into the corner and taking it on his chest, which is I haven't seen it for so long. Just it's been so long since I've seen that, and I was just like, oh, been a long time. That's an old Hart move. I mean, taking it on the chest in the turnbuckle and taking a bump on it. I really enjoyed that.
I love this bouncy thing off the rope where he flipped over.
Yes.
Oh, at the start,
Yes. That was brilliant. And
it was after that point when it kicked in for me as a wrestling match. It was after he did that. I'm like, okay, now you got my fucking attention. No more wear down holes and no more eye gouging. Now we've got wrestling.
Went straight up for the Rana. Took him over then as well. Was actually really nice. And yeah, that's a good point, Joe. That was definitely a big brother move that he obviously went, okay, that gets over, so I'm going to do that.
Yoink.
Yoink. I'll take that one. Now we get on next to something that's just what I find amazing, because we've got the old
Yes.
Lord Alfred Hayes comes in, and it's for Silver Vision exclusive, and it's obviously something that we have on it's something that I didn't have on my old Royal Rumble video that I used to have. So this is something new to me, actually, which was pretty cool. Because this is at a time where I was like balls deep in wrestling. You know what I mean? 1992. I'm 9 years old. Well, but 92, 8 years old. Yeah. So I mean, I'm watching this every week, watching the product, and I didn't see any of this Silver Vision exclusive stuff. So this is going to be a theme throughout the show that you watch on the WWE Network. And this is almost like an episode of Raw, the amount of backstage segments, which is great. Like, but I mean, the way it should be. So Lord Alfred Hayes is telling us obviously why Bret Hart isn't a part of the show, because his doctor told him he shouldn't have went into the match with the Mountie, and it shows the match from a house show, like where Bret loses the Intercontinental title, and Roddy Piper comes in obviously to help him. And I have to say, lads, this is probably Roddy Piper's best physique that he's ever had.
He was looking good.
He looked good. I mean, you know, he just looked. He really did.
Hair was all bleachy a little bit. Rowdy was fucking
back from Hollywood. You know what I mean?
Rowdy, yes.
Got that John Carpenter vibes about him. You know what I mean? He's
and he knew it too.
In fairness, there was a lot of changed physiques through this show. A lot of people were in very good nick. A lot of them.
It was, and I think, like, I mean, obviously the start of Piper. I mean, if anyone paid attention to Piper's interview, he throws a couple of innuendos in there about George Bush and all as well. It's like, Bush, but I know you came back.
Quotes a little Martin Luther King as well, because he's not painted half black on the event. He's very versatile vocally.
Very versatile, yeah. He's almost anti-republic, and it's very strange, but it's really.
My favorite quote from that was when I think what was it? The Mountie said the Mountie was going to take away his integrity or something like that. He said that'd be like Jacques Cousteau trying to find a dry spot in the ocean. I don't have any integrity. I nearly died when he said that. Jacques Cousteau looking for a dry spot in the ocean. Brilliant, absolute genius.
The amount of similarities I see with the DJ Kennedy, and Roddy Piper is crazy, actually, because I was thinking of Jay Kennedy during that whole promo. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, wow, this guy, he even talks with the whole. It's just
look. these promos raised me. I mean, this is what I was fucking watching before the big man here. Well, actually, no, I was sat down in front of him at the age of 8. You know what I mean? Most other kids are watching fucking He-Man. Man goes away to do the messages. I'm sat down with me dad. Do you want to watch a film? I'm like, I do want to watch a film, Dad. Next thing you know, everything's dead. I've got fucking PTSD and I miss Vietnam and Transformers just isn't doing it anymore. I'm like, other kids are happy.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, pro wrestling.
and that's what you get from. That's kind of what you get from Piper, and I think he sets the tone up beautifully because he talks about obviously, you know, coming into the business as a kid. I don't know whether that's the promo after he wins the match. I'm not sure, but he talks about winning as a kid, or sorry, getting into the business as a 15-year-old, and
that was after he won. Yeah,
after he won it. Yeah. So beforehand, he talks about obviously getting 2 belts. And he's like, you know, but I gotta win the first one first, you know. And at the end, he says a line at the end, and it's just amazing. I don't want to ruin it on anyone actually, because go back and watch the promo. But he says a line at the end.
I don't think you can. You can't ruin Rowdy Piper. Seeing him like seeing him for the first time every time. He's just electric, like.
Yeah, he's just amazing. And obviously him and the Mountie come out and they only have a 5-minute match, and it's basically a 5-minute beatdown to get the belt on Piper. The Mountie, in fairness to him, Jacques sells like a motherfucker, you know what I mean? He takes the pounding, you know, he plays the character that he's meant to play, consummate professional in that sense. And you know, it's the belt is on Piper, and he looks absolutely fantastic wearing it too. So
belongs there.
Absolutely. And then we get on to the Beverly Brothers and the Bushwhackers. This match was 15 minutes and it shouldn't have been. I mean, the Bushwhackers, I'm sorry. No offense to our mutual friend, Maurice Shortall, but like the Bushwhackers, it is what it is. Like, no interest.
You said it was a 15-minute match, but it was 14 and a half minutes of shtick.
Yeah, it felt like an eternity.
It genuinely annoyed me that I actually got quite annoyed watching that match. It really pissed me off.
Okay.
You got a bit skippy.
Take the lead on this then, Joe. Take the lead on
and like the thing is, like the Bushwhackers before they were in WWE were known as hard nuts. Like, you know what I mean? They were
the sheep herders, yeah.
Yeah, they were brawlers. Like, you know what I mean? And they came into WWE and got, I don't know, Vincified or something, and just turned into a parody act. Like, but you can see by the heads on them, they were lunatics.
Like. I know,
you know what I mean?
All over
the big scarred teeth missing, the whole lot. Like, and if you actually look back on what they did in the territory days, they were just absolute monsters. And but the one thing that stuck out for me was licking the audience's faces, and I was just like, looking back in the time of coronavirus, and you're just like, Jesus, you couldn't do that now anyway.
Yeah, don't be licking people right now, people. Don't lick buildings and don't lick fucking people. Just don't be at that shit, right?
No licking.
Go back to your rat licking when it's gone away. When we've dropped down to below 60, go back to your rat licking.
If there's ice cream to be licked, fair enough. But yeah, don't.
You know, it's just going back to the Bushwhackers, that it just annoys me that that's what people remember them for, this stupid walk and, you know, all that kind of crack, when they actually have a much bigger and much better legacy than.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's what I said. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I said our mutual friend Maurice, like, you know, he's having to talk to a man about the Bushwhackers when you really should be constantly talking about
the sheep herders.
Exactly.
And a particular promo as well, actually, oddly enough. Look it up on YouTube. Do you remember? I don't know what I've seen the promo, and I don't know whether the bottle's gimmicked or not. If it's not, it's all very well. But Piper's talking about a feud with somebody, and it was probably NWA at the time, and he cracks the fucking beer bottle over his head.
That from
the blood just starts. It could be, I don't know, but I just type in whenever I'm drunk and I need to see Rowdy, and so I need to smile. I type in Rowdy Piper beer bottle cracks head, and it's just a great little 2-minute oddity in pro wrestling. Like, but no, I am going to interject there. I do remember being a child watching this, and again, when we speak about a product that spans generations, he almost has a set way where even from the time of Outback Jack coming down to the bleeding Timey Kangaroo down with the corks coming out of his hat. It wasn't just nefarious, bad stereotypes he used to market globally. It was positive, wild men. And he did use, like, kids fucking love the Bushwhackers, right? It was just all of that. And the walking around licking the kids, even using your tag team mate's head as a bleeding battering ram as a finisher. Like, kids were mad for it, man. And I remember back then as well being crazy about them. Not so much now. Like I said, I got very skippy when that stuff started. But sometimes it's hard to remember that you're watching something that's giving the kid beside you the super pop, especially in '91 when shit was so raw and innocent, or '92. Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone at some stage on the night out on the beer has done that walk and that dance, haven't they, at some stage? I mean, I've done that. I've done that strut out of nightclubs, half drunk at times, with lads. And you know something, when you do it, people know what you're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you think you're doing the Ric Flair stroke, but you're actually doing the Bushwhacker stroke.
Yeah. Now, see, what happens is when you get that drunk, you think you're doing McMahon or Ric Flair, but it ends up being the Bushwhackers. That's the problem.
Sheiky used to walk down like that as well after a while. It was a bit of a Sheiky thing too.
That's because he thought he had the big.
Oh, the clubs.
Persian clubs.
Yeah, but remember, this was the 90s. No one wanted to do Sheiky.
Wow.
Hey, listen.
He should have broke the leg.
I'm sure someone did. But look, I mean,
that was probably also a concession stand match as well. If they're doing fucking things, that's, we're talking about the scheduling of a live program. They're still doing they're translating what they use in the arena to the television audience. So they're still we're in the hall here. This is for the people. We can't see the invisible people in front of us. So send in 2 lunatics who lick children to do fucking 15 minutes while we let them get t-shirts, beers, popcorn, and fucking whatever.
The toilet break match, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Mel Phillips would have loved that job.
Who?
Bombshell tonight.
Would you stop? No, I'm on a kid. The Beverly Brothers, though, Bo and Blake, I mean, they were a very dynamic looking team. They had a good look. They were in shape. Obviously, they had the Genius as their mouthpiece there. They did have a good look, but it just never quite worked out for them in WWE, or F at the time. But
2 years too late.
Yeah, exactly. But we get on to, I suppose, the pre-main event. The natural disasters, earthquake and typhoon. Obviously, the recently, and I remember this very, very, very clear as a kid. Who Saturday night's main event? Typhoon, obviously Tugboat, turned heel. He was usually giving little gimmicks away to the kids in the crowd, and he's a real Hulk Hogan's friend and all that. And he went with Jimmy Hart. Yeah, Tugboat. And they work with the Legion of Doom, who obviously are the champions at this point. And I think this match is long enough to tell the story that they needed to tell. To be fair, it's a battle of the big men. Noel, I know you're a massive fan of the LOD / Road Warriors. So, what did you think of this?
Yeah, when we mentioned guys in shape. But the thing I took from this match is that at the start, like, normally when you hear LOD coming to the ring, it's gonna get dialed up a notch and stuff like that. But when they got into the ring, they were so small compared to Typhoon and Earthquake. I was going, what the hell? They made, like, even Animal looks tiny standing in the ring. And when they did those kind of face-offs in the ring and stuff like that, God, the LOD looked tiny compared to it. It's ridiculous.
Imagine how much John Tenta could have actually hurt people if he wanted to.
Oh, not without a shadow of a doubt.
Legitimate sumo wrestler as well.
And not only that, for the size of them, 2 decent wrestlers.
Yes.
You know what I mean? These are the big men who can actually go. Again, I found in this match at the start, there was kind of a little bit of an awkwardness to it again, not dissimilar to Owen and Jim in that match. But then once it took off again, it's kind of, the boys are all doing their thing and there's an understanding between them and stuff like that. I really enjoyed it because I wasn't sure how, the Legion of Doom, who were normally the dominant team in a match and stuff like that, how this was going to go against 2 very big lads. it could have turned out pretty awkward, but I don't think it did. I think it did what it did, to be honest.
Yeah.
I have to say no. That I really enjoyed the match. There was 4 big hosses doing big hoss things. Like I genuinely really enjoyed. Like yourself, initially when they did I didn't know the difference in size until they started facing up to each other, and I went, Jesus Christ.
Wow. Yeah.
Like I knew that. Yeah, everyone knows LOD are huge. But they, and we also know the other guys are massive as well. But when they're standing next to each other, you're like, Jesus Christ, they are really, really big men. But I really enjoyed. Now, the only thing I didn't enjoy was the finish. That annoyed me. But I can understand why they did it. So that neither of them lost and they could go on and do more. But I really enjoyed the match, I have to say. And that pop for LOD, as always. When that what a rush, and the crowd went wild. Absolutely, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was a fucking perfect piece of just pocket wrestling. Like you said, the finish was the only suspect thing about it is, but when you've got 2 men like LOD, how are you going to let them lose on TV or in anywhere? By keeping one strong, you have to make concessions to their strength, and it was probably hard in that era to go clean over 2 men who, let's face it, have no equals or rivals in such a contentious
I'd agree with
sport.
that.
Yeah, no, they do. They don't. You think about it, right? In such a contentious sport where we all have our own opinions, and there is nothing more pedantic, and this is no way an insult, because it's the pedantism and the focus of your standard smart mark, which I would consider myself to be a dumb mark, but by choice, by a fan first, assessor second. There's very few golden rules in pro wrestling, and one of them is, if you say the Legion of Doom aren't the best, you're fucking wrong, and there's no way you're ever going to be right, and it's just that simple. And it's just like, I love the cadence of language. I love the communication of physicality. This is what I love about the sport. There's textures and layers to pro wrestling, and if you're willing to perceive, you can get into it. Like the interview, right? First of all, Animal obviously went to the Scott Steiner School of Maths, because he turned around and was like,
How big is his arms, by the way, as well?
"Oh,
I was
you used
looking
to
at his arms compared to Hawk's arms, and I was like, no, he's
world of different." Yeah. But what 91 or 92? Were we around? Are we post steroid schedule?
No.
Steroid scandal?
No,
We're not there yet.
no, we're
Right.
not there yet.
Because you always think of Hawk being the big man, and then he stands beside Alan, and you're like, oh my God, how many times am I going to be wrong in this?
That's
Do
why
you know?
half of the Rumble later aren't employed anymore.
Yeah. But there's at the promo when they're behind the scenes, right? There's Animal, again, being from the Scott Steiner School, and Matt Turner goes, and we're up against 2 men who are almost half a ton. And I'm like thinking straight away, well, if you had your build weight together, you guys are half a ton, and these guys are more than that again.
They're actually a ton. They're actually
whip out your calculator there, Animal, because they're not almost half a ton, they're over half a ton. You give or take 300 pounds of human flesh. And then the camera pans the fucking Hawk, and without a beat, he's one of the most, he has tones to the way he communicates. First of all, he comes in, the wow, and he's up here, and you're like, oh shit, man, now my goosebumps have goosebumps. What's going on here? My brain's all fried. What's he saying? I'm in. I'm fucking sold. I don't care if he's talking about me nanny's dog. I'm fucking sold. And then he kind of breaks the cadence, and he goes, oh, there's like a lot of people say you like to push your weight around. That's okay. We want to push your weight around too. And then he breaks back into the violent cadence. Like he walks around his life.
That was a great line, by the way.
Every day.
That was a great line.
It was perfect.
You want to push your weight around too. Yeah.
But if you watch his vocal timbre, the way he drops the level, like this is just the way he communicates to everybody. Like he's buying a 99 ice cream at the beachfront, he's still fucking Hawk, like walking around in the spikes, and you can believe it. If somebody says, "What's that guy's gig?" Oh man, don't worry about it. That's Hawk. Don't pick up on it. He'll fuck you up. He leaves them spikes on me. Doomsday devices you off air. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's just for telly because he doesn't want to get done.
He has to take them off. Animal makes them, otherwise they get fired again. But like, watch his communication skills. Hawk is. It's easy to see this jacked up fucking, meathead who's heavily into 80s narco culture. But if you go there again, you look at him like the way he communicates and expresses himself, it's a lot more cerebral than instinctual. Whereas some wrestlers just shout at the camera. Do you know what I mean? Like Hacksaw Jim Duggan actually looks like he crawled out of the woods to get into the ring. There's layers to the LOD. But
No,
again,
I'd agree. I'd agree. I think the better promo was obviously Hawk, but I think my favorite in-ring worker was Animal all day long.
Well, he was the hot tag. He was the Jim Neidhart of the team. Like, I mean, Hawk got in there. When Hawk's the little guy in your team, what are you going to do about that? Just know your role, slow your roll, and
to say
get into it. Like,
you feel even bad saying little, don't you? It's like
little. Do you know what I mean? There's the little one. There's the little one who communicates in growls. Like, what?
He traps like 2 loaves of bread sitting on his shoulders.
You know what I mean? Animal's there, spot me, and Hawk's just got metal discs in his mouth, chewing on them, looking around the room.
He could have just welded the spikes to his traps. He didn't need the shoulder pads.
I don't think you'd think they were spikes. In the lab where they created them, they're just growths that come out of him like Wolverine. That's just his body, like. But no, but again, to see too, this is to communicate it to a point where we are now in professional wrestling, and the likes of the big men being sent down by Vince to the NXT. You can understand why. I mean, Earthquake and Typhoon worked this match like big men, like fat men, and they used it to their benefit. After Bam Bam, everybody wants to do fucking moonsaults and flips and shit like that. No, be a big man. You got your role. Do you know what I mean? Nobody's asking the leprechaun to be 7 foot fucking tall. Do you know? Don't be ashamed of your role in this business and get into it.
The other thing I noticed as well is the 2 big lads. For big men, they were in really good shape as well. As big men go, if you look at Earthquake and Typhoon, they were in good
Earthquake. Like you could see,
they did everything. They met LOD at everything.
Yeah, you could see Earthquake's pants under the singlet, and like the belly wasn't protruding over that. Do you know what I mean? So it wasn't like they were overly obese. They were actually made like
big men, like
big men. I mean, didn't Typhoon after a while become like the head of a lumberjack firm or something like that as well? So it's like this is the type of men they were. We pick up trees out of the ground, and we don't need machinery.
I think when you're matched against the LOD, you're going to put in some time in the gym, aren't you?
Oh well, yeah, definitely.
Well, these men could go. They could fucking go. They were fit men. Big doesn't mean you can't be fit. Like, I mean, if you were to look at them from the side profile, the big starts below the bleeding nipple and stops above the ball bag. Like, they were big, but from the back, fucking broad humans. It wasn't like
solid.
Yeah, they were, but again, they look, man, as well. Do you remember fucking Animal crisscross the ropes? I haven't seen a side of beef move that fast since, they were stealing fucking cow out of Inglis out of the meat factory, like.
Yeah.
The fucking, motherfucking hell, that's near 300 pounds a human. Do you see that thing move? If he's coming for you, you're getting got. There's nothing that's going to stop the catastrophic event that's going to happen to you, like,
Yeah. No, I like that. Well, look, obviously the ending is actually very good. I like the ending because it's.
We're going to have to do an LOD show, aren't we?
We are going to have to do an
LOD. Please.
I think it's inevitable.
We're going to do an LOD show for sure. I'm happy.
Write that down.
I'm happy to do it, man. You're the one with the pen, so you can do it. I'm the one with the
Mostly I've just been scribbling. I just do this to look like I know what I'm doing. I see you bring pens every week. I'm sitting there up my nose and all like.
No, I really like the ending of this match. I think the fact that it's a count out. I love count out sometimes as well because again it doesn't get utilized enough. There's a rule there.
No.
The count out rule is there for a purpose. So
it doesn't dismiss the validity of the other two either. It keeps them strong because, and rightly so, they're good pro wrestlers. They're not just fucking big Hogan fucking opponents from 1983 who are going on the dole queue again after the match.
Nobody loses in this match. No, and that's the great thing about it.
As I said about the finish, I said I was annoyed by it because I wasn't clear. And but I also said I completely understood why. Because they wanted to keep both teams strong. But I just prefer an outright winner. That's all.
Yeah, you're fair.
That's fair. You're a millennial baby. That's all right when it comes to wrestling. That's all right. You want a winner.
Jesus, wait till we get into the time matches. You're going to hate them. The bell rang before the match was even over, and it was just like, time is done, lads. Go back to the locker room.
Well, look, here we go. We're on to the main event. We're on to the 1992 Royal Rumble, the main event itself. Every man for himself. In fact, this is what this has been billed as in the Knickerbocker Arena in Albany, New York, and of course, people that didn't know, and this is me included. Obviously, when you watch this on the WWE Network, Ric Flair gives the exclusive that he's number 3 to Lord Alfred Hayes. Of course, I am number 3. And Lord Alfred goes into Hulk Hogan. I'm outside Hulk Hogan's dressing room with no pants on, as Lord done, with my penis dangling to my ankle, and I want to get Hulk Hogan's reaction.
A bell's not a bell without a pendulum.
And you can tell, and you can tell that
Ring a ding ding.
I'm going to get out of here before Hogan gets rid of me as well.
The gavel, the gavel.
Somebody say, bring the hammer down. No, Jesus, Alfred, no, there's children present.
There's blatant camel toe, and then there's Lord Alfred Hayes.
Is it not moose knuckle for fellas?
Well, no, but there's
no. That's giant redwood, pal. There's no definition on that fucking husk of bleeding.
No, there's Lord Alfred Hayes. He's a meme of his own.
You learn that we honor and revere Lord Alfred Hayes in these parts. Great. Where else would you find a peerage of British nobility swinging his ding-a-ling around outside the wrestling locker rooms?
He's a lot better on this show as well because his eyes
Prince
are locked
Andrew, I suppose.
Yeah. His eyes are locked on. I'm here, and I'm hello. Oh, Vince. Yes. That's why they chucked that motherfucker off the Coliseum home video, so they could edit that scene. No more live shows for you, Alfred.
They still gave him the mic and told him to stand there talking, though. Nobody had the heart to cut him. It's like, you're doing a great job. Great job, ding-a-ling.
The king of pre-recorded interviews.
Up to that point, he had still been doing that while heels and baby faces were coming in on him from left and right from WrestleMania 1. I'm paid to do a job. So we get on to the main event, and of course, the first. Who wants to take the? I mean, I this is just one of my favorite Rumble matches. Of course, the first out is the Davey Boy Smith comes out. Look, and by the way, he looks fucking awesome in this match, but also just as a specimen that comes out at this point. So that goes back to your question, Jay. Was this pre-steroid? Yeah. Just look at David.
It most certainly was. If you look at some of them, the smoke's still coming out of them.
Yeah. It wasn't pre-steroid use, but it was pre-steroid trial, all right.
Trial, yeah. The use has never been in question or the cease of use. I mean, we can visibly see who actually listened to the boss and who didn't. You know what I mean? Swat. Look at you. Where's those bitch tits? Swat.
What are you going to do? You're only talking, Vince. Shut up. But
just before the actual match itself, I really enjoyed the individual wrestler segments where they got to talk.
Sure.
Because I just felt that now I think they should have spaced them out throughout the show instead of just piling 7 or 8 of them in at the just before kickoff. But I really enjoyed it because it legitimized more participants. They could win it.
What did you think of the Repo Man's promo?
Yeah, you know what I mean. I just there are ones there. Obviously, they're not going to have a hope.
Hey, my money would have been on a Repo Man.
You know what I mean? But I just thought it kind of helped legitimize more, numbers of fellas that might actually win it.
Whereas, I like that idea.
Whereas we said on last week's, we talked about the 2000 Rumble, the last time and we talked about how there were only 2 lads in it. Really, they could win it.
Yeah, and you could tell by how many fucking figures are being shelled off the shelf who was there to pack in. They were like that popcorn shit you put into delicate presents that you send away via airmail. Do you know what I mean? It's 28 popcorn parcels and 2 figurines in the box. You just have to hit them. I'd love a camera. The way you were saying there, the little segments run in. I'd actually love. Just hit me there when you're talking. I'd love a little camera for a quick 1 minute stick job before they leg it down to the ring just to see where they are, just a gorilla position getting amped up, and you're live in 4, 3, 2, and and how do you feel about this? I'm gonna fucking lose. Have you seen us in that ring? But I'll give it a go.
The only problem with that is that you miss the shock entrance of a fella.
Yeah.
That's the only problem I'd see with that.
That's true. But I mean, I don't know. I'd rather hear something come out of Grandmaster Sexy's mouth than actually just watch him run in to get fucked out. You know what I mean? You might as well give him a bit of stick time,
Not like Crash Holly breaking into the APA, which we will get to, and you're like, what the fuck is this? Yeah.
Also, the pop isn't spoiled for those in the arena, I guess. Do you know what I mean?
Well, Davey Boy obviously is the first to come out here and looks like $1 million. And who wants to take off the next? Anybody?
DiBiase, and then I was really annoyed that DiBiase got knocked out so quick. I was raging.
Yeah.
I think he's absolutely masterful at what he does. And even in the couple of minutes you saw him in there with Davey Boy, he was as smooth as silk and everything.
He always is.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's unbelievable, and I was pretty annoyed he got knocked out so early. But then, of course, who comes out after him? You know what I mean? At number 3, Ric Flair. So
looking confident, and of course the commentary. It's all about the commentary here. Gorilla's like, oh my God. And of course, Bobby said, oh no. Bobby.
Yeah, but I couldn't be annoyed for too long because of who came out next. But another thing I loved was the way Flair, especially when Haku came out as well. And he just every now and then he'd get brave and he'd attack one of them. And then they turn on him. And he just just begging off. I just thought the way he did it, just every now and then just get real sneaky, get a bit brave, and then when they turned on him, he was.
You could tell he was the centerpiece. Yeah, he was the centerpiece of the whole pay-per-view, even from the commentary at the start, right up to, like you just said, the cameras eating him up and him doing the cowardly shit and dropping to the knees, and it was definitely put across very, very viscerally by the WWF at the time. We got your boy. We're giving him a whole rumble. We got your. What you gonna do about that now, huh? It was very, you felt it. Like I said, you had three running commentaries on the desk for the whole card. You had the actual commentary for the fans. You had Gorilla talking to Bobby between the side, like, and then you had the subcontext of the pair of them just having a Ric Flair conversation for fucking 2 hours on TV.
You also had Vinnie Mac shown in the background, talking in the background, possibly at that time, saying, you can come from WCW or wherever you want and be made a star. So that's a message to all of you guys over there as well, that if you want to come over and be a star, I got you.
If there's any left that I haven't already had. Hey, Harley.
Exactly. But what they did have at the time. But we digress. Obviously, Jerry Sags and Haku come out. They get knocked out by the British Bulldog as well. British Bulldog is just looking strong in this Rumble. And then, of course, Shawn Michaels comes out with no Heartbreak Kid. There was no hearts on those tights back then. Big entrance from Shawn Michaels. Him and you think him and Flair are gonna, team up for a little while, but not really. Michaels just slaps the shit out of Bulldog for a bit.
Wasn't it lovely to see them two in the ring? Just when you consider how Ric Flair's retirement match went in the WWE, wasn't it lovely to see young Shawn
cool,
with Rick in at the height of his apex, at his American popularity? It was very. Yeah.
At the same time, yeah. Noel, I'm saying for you as well, looking back at that was some nostalgia too, because I mean, you were in your you would have been in your 20s then, like teens, 20s.
Yeah, I would have been exactly. I would have been 19, about to turn 20. But I loved the way Flair's utilization of the finger pokes, and the way he does it. He kind of skips into it, that kind of way.
Yeah. He's letting you know it's coming, and he stamps it. With a
yeah. But I remember looking back at it, and I never felt weird. It was weird as well because, like, I didn't follow a lot of the chat on that was out there. So I never at any stage thought Flair was going to win because I was looking at the catalog of guys in the match and I was thinking some really big names in here. You know what I mean? This is star-studded. A lot of guys that we watch week in, week out. You know what I mean?
And we weren't used to it,
like,
brother.
yeah, and a number of times as well, he looked like he was on death's door going out over the ropes and stuff like that and all. And, I always thought when they were hanging over the ropes with a guy, I was just waiting on some guy to come in with a big knee and clean house. Because if you notice the way the Rumble was structured, there was a lot of guys in the ring at a certain time, and then the ring was kind of cleared for the next section. And it kind of ran that way. So at no point sort of, and even looking back at it now, when you look at who was in there and all, like Bulldog and Michaels were immense. You know what I
Let's
mean?
take a pause for the cause there. That's what I'm actually gonna do because I have it here in front of me. So Michaels was number 6, Tito Santana was number 7, the Barbarian was number 8, Texas Tornado number 9, Repo Man number 10, who of course was Axe from the Demolition, Greg Valentine, Nikolai Volkov 12, Big Boss Man 13, Hercules Hernandez number 14, Roddy Piper number 15, Jake Roberts, Jim Duggan, IRS Irwin O'Shyster, Jimmy Snuka, The Undertaker, Randy Savage, The Berserker, Virgil, Colonel Mustafa was the Iron Sheik, Rick Martel, Hulk Hogan, Skinner, Sergeant Slaughter, Sid Justice, and the Warlord. Holy shit.
How strong is that fucking card?
Like you take, when you get down through that list there, how many people thought Ric Flair was going to win?
Well, I'll be honest with you.
what I
When I watched it as a young lad, I had a fear because of what happened in 1990 with the Warrior and Hogan. I had a fear that the Hulkster wasn't going to win. I thought it was going to be Sid. I was like, it's going to be Sid, isn't it? And but man, the way that they kayfabe this whole show was just a piece of genius.
There's a point there as well. There was somebody told me something recently that I never copped on. Right, there's two tells. There was two tells for me when I watch it. Again, it's easy to be wise when you're being forewarned, foretold, and pre-educated. You know what I mean? But I don't ever remember seeing Rick wear a lot of black. He wore traditionally when he was going out and going to lose, he wore red, and when he was going over, he wore his blue trunks. The black was almost kind of like his way of saying, "Will I? Won't I? Will I?"
I've looked
Maybe
into
that's
that,
just
Jay. I've looked into that after you told me. I've done a deep dive.
Yeah,
back into that. There's
is it
not
true?
not a whole lot of truth in it, but
Okay, maybe it was the circumstantial evidence put ahead. Maybe it was just all the matches that I've watched personally.
yeah, but at the same time, I didn't. I mean, how many matches has Ric Flair had in his career? So I could be wrong on that. But the black.
I think go on.
No, I was going to say the black is definitely a sign that he's gone over because he does tend to wear the red when he went. When he was going to lose.
When he lost, yeah. But also, again, just another format and perspective. Actually, no, there's a second case point in that as well. I was sitting there and I watched the because I love watching these golden era between segments. I just love it. I love watching the character work. Like I said, I love watching how a professional communicates outside of the physicality of the sport. But I've never seen Hogan so subdued in an interview pre a match. When he came out of the ring, he wasn't even talking in his Hulk Hogan voice. He was talking in his Terry Bollea voice. And I've never heard that out of him really on the stick in the WWE program. Like, to the point where it caught me off guard. I was like, I'm going to have to listen to that hate-filled hot dog again. So I rewound it. And I don't ever, also again, contemporarily speaking, I don't ever remember rewinding a lot of Hulk Hogan segments to watch them again. And if you watch back, there's almost a subdued cadence to them. It's like, well, I'm not very happy that the boss isn't putting me over. I was polishing Bell for a good 15 years before that guy in the black trunks came. Do you know what I mean? It was weird. But again, there was another structural nuance that I noticed that I really loved about this Rumble was, you notice the way that only the first two had their music play, and then the rest it was crowd pop you got to hear. I loved hearing how animated and raw the people were at it. It just, like when Rick broke the curtain, and I turned around and I was like, "Where's this music?" And then I realized there's no more music from here on in, and you just hear the crowd going fucking rabid, and you can almost hear it rolling around the room, like when they walk through.
Better actually as well.
I loved it.
Yeah, I think it's better, but
It was more interplay with the crowd and the performance. You know.
It's that New York crowd again. They're intense.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly, and that's
Yeah.
why Vince always went there for his big four.
We'll-
You know what I mean?
We'll touch on it. We'll touch on it again in 01 as well.
We
01, it
will,
was the
we
same.
will. And I'm glad you said that, Noel, because we do have to kind of get down to the nitty gritty of it. Obviously, we're not going to go through each elimination or whatnot. But
Can I just point out one
yeah,
big one that happened but didn't happen when Savage eliminated himself?
Yes.
Like,
I thought I was going mad.
Did he
Thank
have
you.
did he have a brain fart, or was he
No.
meant to do that?
I'd say he got a text there. He got a text from Vince McMahon to say, "I know what you're doing with Stephanie. Get the fuck out."
Get out of my ring right now.
I thought.
No,
I
but
th- I
He
thought.
went, he
the
went
best-
back in, like that was the thing, and then the commentators
And
had to cover
nobody
for him
said
by saying,
anything. Yeah.
yeah, they were just like, someone has to eliminate you. You can't eliminate yourself. Like,
Yeah.
the commentary
Which
on it
isn't
was
true.
brilliant.
he clearly
Commentary
just had a
covered it.
major brain
Commentary
fart
covered
when
it.
he
Yeah.
jumped out like that.
Because
But
don't
anyway,
forget, we're
sorry,
going
you're
back to a time. No, that's a good point, Joe, because that's actually a really valid point. Because don't forget, we're going back to a time where, the two boys, Bobby Heenan and Gorilla, weren't exactly knowing what was going to happen. So seeing something like that, I'm sure they were like, "What the fuck?"
We'll probably find out one day Macho was supposed to win it. He just forgot what he was doing.
One of the people in the front row had a fucking winner bag. It was like,
No. It was a Slim Jim, to be fair.
And,
slim
and just at
bag.
the end,
But it weighed a winner.
and I also thought the end of the Rumble as well annoyed me a small bit because just Hogan just can't help himself but be involved. Sure, he can't. Like, just
That
cannot help
despicable
himself.
piece of shit. First of all, half of that fucking match used
Me
his
and Noel are
t-shirts
out
that
now.
he force cheated, right? Whips his top off and starts choking cunts out with it. Secondly, the minute he's in that ring, it becomes a fucking eye rake performance. You look at the cunt. He does three things all match. Chokes people with a t-shirt, back rake, eye rake. There's cunts he's not even fuming. He walks over and he's raking at them. I'm like, what the fuck are you, a feral
The
cat?
rake was definitely the move of the day for Hogan in that particular Rumble, wasn't it?
He walked over to two men who were having a fucking Donnybrook, and he pulls one off and he walks him over to the corner, gets up and does this to his fucking eyes. Like, oh, come on. There's about 18 refs outside, and this big hot dog gelatinous piece of shit is allowed to walk around just eye poking anybody he fucking wants. Is this not pro wrestling? I mean, and then you look around and everybody's using his fucking t-shirt to choke and garrot people. Fucking Daniel Bryan got fired for choking somebody with a toy. Yeah, he's got half of this event choking people with his fucking t-shirt. He's a baby face. I'm a child, and that's supposed to be my role model. Fuck off.
There's no baby faces or heels in a Rumble match
It's every man for
himself. And and you know why he did that stuff? Because he was probably sitting backstage seeing the pop that Flair was getting from the eye raking, and he said, "I'm gonna have me some of this."
Petulant child.
I thought Hogan had a great performance in this show, personally.
You're still waiting on a sex tape to be released.
He got screwed by Sid Vicious.
Vince McMahon.
in his beautiful, very nice light blue trunks, actually, I must say, and knee pads.
But my biggest criticism of this pay-per-view in general was that Ric Flair wasn't presented with the title in the ring. I thought that was crazy.
That's a great point.
Crazy.
That's a great point, Joe. And in fairness, I get exactly where you're coming from there, because obviously Ric Flair had come from the NWA, and the whole point of this was meant to be the winner gets the world championship. Now, I think it was, the way
It's heelish, isn't it? Get out of the ring, leg it. Come on, perfect with him and everything, and then Heenan legging off the desk.
Exactly.
Let's skedaddle, lads. We fucking did it.
Exactly.
The hoist is on.
I think it was meant to be a heist. Exactly.
Yeah.
It was meant to be a heist.
They were waiting.
No, I'm saying they probably kept Hogan happy there. Noel, you can come into this. I would imagine that they kept Hogan happy by setting up the feud with him and Sid, obviously at WrestleMania 8 then, because it's the same.
Hijacks the end of another fucking event as per usual.
I was waiting for Hogan to walk in and present Flair with the belt.
and then
steal it again.
No,
and then just look around at the
mine.
camera and go,
Hero.
See, this is why God took his hair at an early age. I'm sorry. Do you know what I mean? You don't deserve a hairline, you piece of shit. Have that.
He still has
All that for.
he still has a great wave, in fairness.
Yeah, if any of it's real.
It just comes off at the bandana.
yeah, that's the way you can imagine pulling his fucking head off of the stand.
The man who made GHD is cool.
Why did
He was
that Rastafarian lad attack Brett when he could have attacked Hogan and just pulled away? Didn't even have to take him down. Just jump up and just go fucking MJ on it and just take the weave off.
I don't think he was. I don't think he ever was a child. He was just born 87. Do you know what I mean? That's what he looked like in the crib. Just ripping off his tiny t-shirt to choke with our babies out with an old.
Looking 87-year-old, to be fair though.
Look, he's a genetic oddity. I'll give him that. But nobody chooses how they're born. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, let me tell you something, brother. I'd like 24-inch pythons. I'd like no hair, and I'd like a hot dog color 10. He's like, yes, of course. You can have all those things. Hulk Hogan.
Well, what we're gonna do before Jay has a meltdown, we're gonna take.
That's going to happen eventually.
We're going to take a break before Jay talks about hot dogs any longer and all that kind of great stuff. It's a great pay-per-view. We're going to take a little quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about, of course, the Royal Rumble 2001. We're getting 9 years into the future here on this one, ladies and gentlemen, and we hope you're going to stay with us for the ride. Welcome back to the Four Podmen, where we are, of course, speaking about the Royal Rumbles as it is Royal Rumble season, and today we've already covered Royal Rumble 1992, and next we are going to go 9 years in time. We're gonna go with Marty, and we're gonna go with Doc, and we're gonna go to 2001, and we're gonna hit the Royal Rumble 2001, in fact, which was in Nolans this time. Which of course we mentioned at the start of the show that early on Vince liked to go to crowds like New York and like to put the big four in New York. I'm sure anybody that's listening knows what the big four are: Survivor Series, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, and WrestleMania. But we go to the New Orleans arena now, where again it's a similar similar amount of people in the arena. Just a little over 17,000, nice and compact. And of course, it's 30 men, every man for himself, one victor. That's the difference in taglines for this one. So, lads, we mentioned last week that we were going to cover the two of these in one because of the way we were talking about the previous Rumble that we did cover. What do you... I suppose let's let Joe kind of take the lead in this, because last week we obviously talked Rumble 2000. This is 1 year later on from your Rumble that you picked for your debut show. What do you think were the key differences between this Rumble and the previous Rumble, actually?
Well, this one, a lot more star power in the actual Rumble match this time round. The 2000 Rumble, it was between two guys, and that was it. Like, you know, now Kane put up a bit of a, you know, made a bit of a showing of himself in the 2000 to make it look like, well, it might be more than just two. But this particular Rumble, way more star power involved, and way more guys you thought could actually win it. The final six that were in there, you know, if any of them had won, it would have been, you know, it was plausible that any of them could have won it really out of the final six. Yeah. Whereas, as I said, 2000, a year earlier, there was only ever two lads in it. Yeah. That was my big difference in the actual Rumble match itself.
That's fair. So I suppose we'll get into. I mean, the one thing we notice obviously at the start is we don't have Vince doing the voiceover. Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair. Now
he introduced all 30 of them.
All 30 of them
raspy OTT voice of his.
Yeah, and it's amazing.
Whereas the intro for this one, I thought was an awful lot better.
Well, it's an awful lot better because it's kind of telling the story of what you're about to see. And of course, the first opening match on this, without taking in the dark match, which of course was the lowdown with D'Lo Brown, with Tiger Ali Singh against Koin Toi Funaki and Taka Michinoku. But I mean, that was a match that lasted less than 2 minutes anyway, so we don't really need to go there. But the Dudley boys obviously opening the previous one as well, which if I'm stand corrected, that is right. We said that no, sorry, it was Taz and Kurt Angle.
Yeah, Taz and Angle. Yeah,
But that was the main. That was
They
the
were
main.
they were early cards, yeah.
Sorry, yeah. It was like the second match. Or
They were the
something.
next match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, oddly enough, you had Kai and Toy, and this one, noticing patterns in life, we also had the Orient Express opening up the other one.
Yeah, absolutely. But with this one, it's the Dudleys, Bubba and Demon against Edge and Christian, who are at this point the WWF Tag Team Champions. Anybody want to take the lead on this in terms of what they thought about this match? Because I know all across the board, y'all pretty much enjoyed this one.
Noel? Yeah, I really enjoyed it again, but I'd be a fan of both teams there, plus the Hardy Boys and the way it all evolved over time and stuff like that, But I thought, when Edge and Christian come out, and Christian comes out with those funky glasses on and the beanie and all, and it's just so cool, what I mean? And then the Dudley Boys came out, and I think at one stage in the match, Christian hits Devon, I think it is, with an unprettier. And I think on commentary, one of them turns around and says, well, that ain't going to make a difference or something like that. You know what I mean? And I just thought that was brilliant. It's just a small little thing. But I just thought it was cool. I was sitting back laughing going, God, you'd only get away with that then. It was so cool. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, because we're obviously on to the commentary team here of Jim Ross. Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler. Creepy Lawler, he adds bits when he wants to add to him. I know that's for you, Jay. But in fairness, you're right. And then but Jim Ross on this whole show is just in his absolute
he's on fire.
Yeah, he's
Can you imagine a desk with Jim Ross sitting beside Gorilla Monsoon? I would pay to hear that conversation. That's all I kept thinking. Every time Jim Ross opened his mouth, this is like, I'd love to sit you down beside Gorilla and hear the straight guy of two different fucking eras just sitting and chewing the fat over an event.
You know what I'd love to do now that you've said that? I would love, because I know a four-man booth is never going to work, but then again, it works in some places. But imagine you could just do it. Just say because again, this is all hypothetical. We're talking about, two men that are dead here as well in Bobby Heenan and of course Gorilla Monsoon. But if you had two color commentators and two play-by-plays, and you had Gorilla and Jim Ross, and then on the opposite side, you had Jesse Ventura and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Good Lord. Imagine the ratings. The ratings. Will someone think about the ratings? Please, Vince, think about the ratings.
The only thing I worry about is that with the four of them, one or two of them would just end up taking over.
No, but it'd be a 10-hour pay-per-view, Joe.
Oh, okay, yeah, then.
It's like WrestleMania now.
That actually, there's a good point there. That's what bothers me about Jerry Lawler. He tries to fit in too much too quick all of a sudden. He just won't stop his fucking cadence and patter. He throws so much shit at the wall, he hopes something sticks. Whereas when again, I keep going back to communication, and everything in life is communication. From the day you're born to the day you're buried, the commentary team is so paramount in anything. It's not about saying as much as you can, as often as you can, to as many as you can. When you learn the cadence of another man's flow and is timber, Gorilla Monsoon had it with everybody. He is a consummate professional. And if Jim Ross was allowed, he could have it with Jerry Lawler. But Jerry won't shut the fuck up. He won't. You're like, hey, look at that! That's a rope in a wrestling ring. This place is full of people, and he's like, shut the fuck up, you idiot!
He sounds like the guy from what's that guy from Police Academy?
Zed.
Zed.
Yeah.
And he's got one of the most competent colour men in any sport. Jim Ross is a pleasure to listen to. You can hear the love of the sport in his voice whenever he drops something or says something, even if it's uncouth to where he is in the business. He was talking about Shawn Michaels' ladder matches when the boys were doing their fucking, and again, the unsung heroes of all of this piece is the Dudley boys. They can work with fucking anybody and make everybody look
Absolutely
great.
agreed. They
Yeah.
are the glue. They are the glue.
Well, like you hear Jim Ross talking about fucking Shawn Michaels ladder matches, and then Jerry Lawler pipes in. Did he invent that? And Jim Ross knows full well he's been watching ladder matches and stampede. Well, I don't think he perfected it, but my word, or I don't think he invented it, but my word, he perfected it. And you're like, thank you for lending a little credence to our intelligence, Jim Ross.
He always does that. He does it. You know what, Jay? You're 100% correct. And we've had many a conversations sitting around a beer table at 5 a.m. in the morning, and you might make a statement, or I might make a statement, and this goes for anybody listening to this show. They may have made a statement that is out of turn, for example, or isn't necessarily 100% true. There's a polite way of correcting a person without saying, "Shut the fuck up, you're wrong.
You're a lawyer, or batter you."
Yeah, or batter you. But
you're allowed to be wrong without it being a crime.
Yeah,
you know?
And Jim Ross actually has a very, very subtle way and an educated way of being the historian
Dignity.
that he is. He's a historian on top of being a commentator. He has a love for the business, and he says something in a subtle way and goes, "Well, he didn't invent it, but he damn sure perfected it." You know,
God damn it, King, you're wrong, and you're a jackass.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And that's what it's great. It's like Gorilla Monsoon's. Would you stop? It's just he had his own way. It's funny when you're young, and I will admit this because I was way too young when I started watching WCW back in 1992, I believe, around the same time at that Rumble, because it was on TV. I was the same. I wasn't a big fan of Jim Ross just purely because of the accent. You know what I mean? It was like, oh well. But when I go back to it, I'm like, good Lord, I didn't know what I had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, 10 out of 10.
He respects the business with a dignity that it really richly deserves.
He is the best play-by-play commentator of all time. There is no shadow of a doubt. We that's no disrespect to Gorilla Monsoon or anything like that. He wasn't play-by-play. Gorilla Monsoon was,
Yeah, listen, Gorilla was cutting brand new ground to a global television audience and laying down a cadence which there was nothing before him. And Jim Ross build off what Gorilla's the granddaddy of the fucking stick. Gorilla can work with anybody. Look at the people who were sat beside Gorilla over a 10-year period. You could throw out at Gorilla and he would not be phased. Also, he was full on worker. I mean, he got the tail end of his career we did when he was stick, but we remember the days when Jesse used to give him shit about how the business was when Gorilla was working.
Yeah.
But again, forgive me, I'm after hijacking this podcast about commentary teams.
No, that's what this is all about. This is the show of segues and digression. We digress a lot on this show, so bear with us. Who wants to take the lead on this match, guys? I think Joe might want to, because I know you're a big fan of the Dudleys. Or does Niall want to take it? Who wants it? Flip a coin.
Go ahead, Joe.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm a big fan of both teams in this match. Like, I'm actually a big fan of both teams in this match. I really like them. One thing I found really weird was the Dudleys selling concussions, which because it was at the time when concussions weren't taken seriously, and you wouldn't see it now. You wouldn't see it now.
No, you wouldn't see someone do that. No.
Yeah, where they're kind of making light of concussions, like, and the massive pop the Dudleys got when they did the Devon get the table spot. The place went bananas for them. But
that's true.
All four guys, consummate professionals. It was like we said about the New Foundation Orient Express match. The simple things done really well, and you end up with a good match. This was there wasn't just the simple stuff, of course, but they did that. They got everything bloody right. They did nothing wrong in this match, really. And ended up, and the crowd were hot as fuck for that match as well. They lost it for every little thing they did. It was just, I absolutely loved the match. Absolutely loved it.
Niall?
Yeah, the back and forth was brilliant as well. I loved the spot as well where I'm not sure whether it's Edge or Christian, and they have is a Bubba Ray's legs
Oh,
up in
they
that
do
move.
the
Yeah, and they go, and they do, yeah, and the headbutt goes right into his hamstring. But you see Christian or Edge there going, "What's that?" You know, that kind of, I just thought it was brilliant. It was like they kind of just they sort of structured the match to go back and forward and rob each other's crap. Really, you know what I mean? It was.
I don't know. Would we ever talk about Christian on a show, on his own show? I don't know, but would maybe now is an opportune time
I
to
think
talk about Christian.
so-
Would anyone else agree in that? I think Christian is very, very underrated.
he's the unsung hero of the lot. He was quirky. His gimmick, if you look back right
I
now,
thought he was better than Edge, even.
yes, he was. Look, Edge was the pretty boy with the fucking flowing locks, and he had a projection which was more villainous in nature. He had that, when you're watching a fucking a Pixar Disney movie, and the handsome prince is supposed to be a handsome prince, but he's drawn to a point where you know already before the end of the show, he's not handsome at all. He's evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Edge had that. He was like, we knew he was a bad guy, but he was a good guy. But he slimeballed really well.
He was a
Christian
unique
was
looking fella too, with the big kind of big brows. And
oh yeah, exaggerated. Like nobody chooses how they're born, but how you manipulate and use it to your ability.
Absolutely.
Perfect pro wrestler. Perfect pro wrestler. But
With
Christian wasn't. He didn't have that. He didn't have that almost cartoon visage. But what he did have was an impeccable comedy timing and a value of self-worth. He knew his role as the other guy, as the sidekick, and he played it better. Like you got
bit of a Jericho about him almost, yeah.
no, we're going to do this. This is another write down job. I mean, literally all I've wrote is I love wrestling on a Rizzler for the last fucking hour. But we need to do a show on
point.
well, my calligraphy is excellent. I can write better with a dick and piss than I can with a pen and quill. But we hit on something we were talking about. You're nothing without a foil, without a dance partner. I mean, you can be the greatest in the world, and if nobody's going to step up to meet you, you don't get to ascend to the point where people are forced to make a choice and sit and talk. We need to do a fucking show, and it's only become apparent to me on them three tag teams and the run of fucking career they had, the Dudleys, the Hardys, and Edge and Christian. I mean, they held the whole division together for what, 5, 6, 7 years? And it never got old. And it wasn't because they kept putting new implements in. This week we're going to use a table. This week we're using a table and a ladder. This week we're using a table and a ladder and a barbecue. It didn't matter what you put in with them. It was the fact that the men danced so well with each other. They worked so well with each other. They knew each other so in and out that you're like, this is just poetry. You could put them on fucking an episode of Bullseye with the speedboat as the prize and they'd get a great match out of it, you know? Sorry, I'm after hijacking the segue again. But yeah, that particular little era where the three boys or the three teams ran against each other. Any combination of those three sets is just fucking poetry to watch, like.
Yeah,
but I'm with you on. Oh, sorry.
No, I thought I'd throw that in for you there, Joe, because I know you're. I was actually leading into you because I know you're a big fan of Christian as well. You always...
big Christian Mark, and like if you look at his work, I don't know if you guys have seen much of his work when he was in TNA.
I did.
Yes,
I did.
As Captain
it was the right
Charisma,
belt around the right waist.
So
that belt belonged around his waist.
Yeah, he was so good, and he now it's a pity TNA weren't that big, but like if they had been an actual proper competitor for WWE, you would have like Vince McMahon would have been shitting bricks seeing what they did with him and how well he.
But there's a point in that too, Joe. They'd have been a lot smaller without him with that belt around his waist.
Yeah. He was,
he
was brilliant. Yeah, I'm a massive fan of his. Like.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to kind of watch a lot of Christian's work, and I say lucky enough not in person, but been lucky enough to kind of watch his matches in particular. Like we've all been guilty of this, lads. I'm sure Noel, you're the same. In TNA, you'll watch a certain element of the people that you like. For example, when Kurt went over there, when AJ was kind of coming up and challenging for the titles, you watch the main events. And lucky enough, I was able to kind of remember the Christian stuff there in TNA, and I think it's phenomenal. So I think it's a very opportune time to kind of give Christian a shout out because we all know Edge is what he is, and Edge is phenomenal as
It
well.
also bothers me how quiet his retirement was. He deserved a hell of a lot more.
Yeah.
He almost kind of just slipped off into the air behind other men, and
Sure.
that wasn't right.
Sure.
I was at TNA the night Christian debuted. I was at that show.
Oh, you were at that one. You were over
Yeah.
at Romania.
Yeah, I was over there. I was over there on holidays, and we were at the we went to
Universal.
what was the one that he debuted on? Was it Final Resolution or something like that? Or
Yes.
one of those. Was that the one it was? I'm not too sure now, but I remember it was that debut was dampened down a lot because I think that was the same weekend. I think that Eddie Guerrero passed away. I think.
So we're thinking 2005.
Yeah. As far as I know, that's when Eddie passed away. It was the same weekend that Eddie passed away was Christian's debut on TNA.
November 16th episode of Impact where Cage defeated Rhino in a barbed wire match. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so I don't know.
No, his debut was the pay-per-view. I think it was either Final Resolution or Genesis or one of them anyway. I can't even remember.
He
what
debuted at Genesis 2004.
Debuted yeah, and that was the weekend that Eddie passed away. So his debut was kind of killed because wrestling was on such a dampener.
Yeah.
And I remember being in the queue because you had the queue to go into the Impact Zone and stuff like that in Universal. And I remember being in the queue and just word spread about Eddie passing, and it was terrible because everyone had already known that Christian was going to debut tonight. It was kind of cool and everyone was pumped up for it. And then there was a real dampener on it. That's if you go back and you look at Christian's debut at TNA, it's nowhere near as pumped as it should have been, really. It was quite dampened down a little bit, which was a shame, really, because he was brilliant in TNA. I was a huge TNA fan. I watched all TNA. I was mad into Christopher Daniels and Elix Skipper and even Low Key when he was in there. I loved all those guys. I loved that X Division and those Ultimate X matches and all that kind of stuff. And
they really had fire in a bottle for a while, didn't they? With that X Division,
absolutely.
They were really ahead of the curve. Just mismanaged to bits.
Yeah. And even with their women's division, the way it grew and it was so strong.
Division, yes.
Do you know who else is also ahead of the curve? Ian the Dynamo Kelly, and the 4 Podmen is here today to speak about the Royal Rumble 2001. Let's not give away.
Write that down as well.
Let's not give anything away for free that doesn't need to be on Patreon, which is coming in 2021, guys. Noel, you keep that lightning in a bottle. And
Absolutely.
There will be underwear posing on this Patreon as well, I'm sure. And I know Noel has some. He will be verbose vocally about sexual gratification on this Patreon too.
Yes, we have videos of Jay Kennedy himself.
Joe's bringing his mustache.
Yeah.
What more can you want?
I always tell Noel to take a video. I always tell Noel to take a video of you when he calls you. So.
Oh well, you got a bombshell tonight.
We're all good. We move on. Obviously, that's
moving swiftly on.
Yeah, no, we do move swiftly on. Actually, obviously, the Dudleys defeat Edge and Christian and take the titles. Oh, look at this, Stone Cold Jocks. There we go.
Ain't no messing around here.
I'm glad you spoke over what I just said.
Next matchup could possibly be the match of the night. People can argue it. It's Chris Jericho against Chris Benoit. Pre-murder suicide. And wow, what a match. You know what? I'll break the ice. This is before Chris Benoit was a bad lad and done what he done. And I'll tell you one thing. It shows how bloody good the lad was in this match. And it also shows it also shows how bloody tough Chris Jericho was as a worker. Because this match showed how tough Jericho can be in these type of matches with someone that was billed as the Rabid Wolverine or whatnot. And this is a match made in Canada. Like, this is just absolutely it's a stampede match.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And you know what? It's grim view and knowing what we do now when you look back. There's nothing I detest more than how fucking brilliant he was. He's just,
Hurts
I
me every
don't.
day, Noel, when I think, or sorry, Jay, it hurts me every day when I think about, he was one of my, I mean,
He's fucking brilliant. He's next
Joe,
level
Joe
shit
the
in
Beef will
every
tell
aspect and facet.
Joe the Beef will tell
Sorry.
you when I was coming up and trying to be a wrestler, what was I was constantly talking about Benoit. Am I right? And what we could do to what I mean to
Well,
be
see,
more intense and
you were mad about Benoit because he was like the Canadian version of the Dynamite Kid,
A
sure.
and
pure heart product or pure stampede product.
Yeah.
and you were a massive Dynamite Kid fan, and this guy was the modern equivalent.
Yeah.
So it's no wonder you were mad about. I loved him as well. I thought he was bloody fantastic.
We all did, and I've never met again. We spoke about golden rules with the LOD. Anybody who says they didn't enjoy Chris Benoit's work in any of the companies ever worked in is a pole-faced fucking liar. The intensity and ferocity. When we speak about men who believed what they were doing was real, holy shit! Like you have to take a second guess and like, is he working the whole world? And then we find out it was very real to him.
Well,
Goddammit.
let's not get into that thing because
We're not. We're about the match tonight.
You will get Ian Kelly emotional as well on this one because it's
That fucking thing when he comes sailing through the between the ropes and gets the chair shot to the head, like it's next level shit. When you speak of things that are never going to be seen again, the likes of fucking Diego Maradona dribbling a ball or shit like that, how Benoit approached professional wrestling is never going. Apex artist, like, and even with the morbid fascination of watching him after the fact, forgive me, continue. Somebody else.
Yeah, no, it's a bit much as well. This is always a difficult time when we talk about Benoit matches.
No, let's not do that end of the things. Let's do the brilliant match and Jericho meeting him in the middle as a foil. Fuck yes.
And I think this is actually a real tribute to Jericho. Niall will get you to take over on this one because we've seen the clown Jericho, we've seen him messing about with China, we've seen him messing about, just in general.
And so baby faced as well.
And so yeah.
I think the question is when you're when you're matched or you're put in a match with Chris Benoit, it's whether you can match his intensity. You know what I mean? And this is where you see Chris Jericho really step up, and he really has that guile and intensity and ferociousness
The
about him
grit
in the match. Yeah, that grit. And he kind of knew that he had to, because Benoit's that guy, like Benoit doesn't, to excuse the pun, he obviously doesn't take any prisoners when he's in the ring. He's the man, really, you know what I mean, in that ring in terms of intensity. And the question over the match all the time was whether Chris Jericho could match that intensity, and boy, heck, did he do it big time.
Yeah.
I'd agree with Benoit. It was kind of like, when you stepped in there with him was, you better be able to keep up because
this is real or you're getting left behind.
Well, it's the same. Absolutely. It's the same thing that Dynamite Kid used to do, and give a little tribute to Dynamite Kid just because of the Benoit conversation. He said he got that from Bad News Brown, because they had a street fight one time in Calgary in Stampede, and he said, "I'm going to hit you with a plank of wood, but I'm going to swing that plank of wood as hard as I can in the hope that it breaks off the mat. And if your head happens to be there, well, then so be it. So it's up to you to get out of the way." Do you know what I mean? So
yes.
So Dynamite always said that he learned that from him, like in that sense that it was like, right, timing is everything. Know your ring positioning. Know exactly where you are at all times. Don't be fucking like, if you are gassed, well then plan your fucking next move ahead so that you can I suppose facilitate being gassed. You know what I mean? Take your little respites.
Find a corner. Take your breath.
Listen, that's exactly what it is. People think, I mean, it's 2021, so people know how wrestling works. But there is a reason for these headlock takedowns. They look cool when they're done.
Yeah, they wear down.
There's a reason for this. Get your stuff in, take them at the right times, and then go into the spot. And that's why these guys do that. But I just thought I'd throw that in. So obviously Benoit was very much of that, as Jay said earlier, that stampede mindset. He was like, we go and we kill, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't take any prisoners. But he probably took it to the next level, let's be fair, of the modern wrestler. And one thing I have to say I like throughout through Benoit's career was that JR again always throws in tribute to the Dynamo kid, the only man that ever mentions that. And once again, hail to the king, Mr. JR. So but this match, yeah, it's phenomenal. I thought it was a great match. My favorite spot in it, of course, is the walls of Jericho on the ladder. You know, when you think it can't be done, it's just something. It's just something
Yeah.
so beautiful. It's you know, if that was done in '94 with Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels, and there was some sort of stretch on a ladder, people would have been like literally just said, right, I've lived my life. I don't need to live anymore. Throw me
Also,
to
if that had been a shitty fucking ladder that took a bit of a beating on a leg, that ladder could have toppled the wrong way and somebody's neck was getting snapped. Like,
Yeah.
it was a risky move regardless. And
It
again,
really was, and it shows the elocution of the body that these guys had. Do you know what I mean? They were
yes,
able to use their bodies, you know, so elegantly and safely to to basically perform that move that looked like it couldn't be done. So
But you're talking about two lads that are meticulous in their planning.
yes,
yes,
what I mean, so-
professional wrestlers, not
Yeah.
part-time fucking gimmicks.
Yeah.
Professional lifers. Yeah,
I
100%.
mean, Noel, you met Benoit, you know, back in the day, and I mean, the lad's arms were so big that it wouldn't look like it would stretch to that way. So it shows you the conditioning that these guys had as well. You know, to be able to the elasticity of
Yeah.
what you know, what's the Warriors word? The
Dexterity.
dexterity of the
Yeah.
body. It's just,
Yeah. Listen, it's a dance. It's an art. It's
No.
it's muscle vocalizing. It's the greatest show on earth, baby.
well,
What it's
look,
done
we'll
for
try and move on from that match. Jericho defeats Benoit, obviously for the belt, and
In an absolute cracker.
in an absolute
Yeah.
cracker.
Yeah.
You guys watch it for yourselves if you've never seen it. To any of the young fans that have never seen it, or any of the old fans that actually have never kind of taken the time to watch it, just try and separate the fact of who's in the ring and just actually watch the match. It's an absolute.
But another thing I noticed, just looking back, like at these things, just all the flashes of the cameras, especially in that match.
That
when
was a
Benoit's
photo opportunity, yeah.
Yeah, when Benoit gets to the top of the ladder to do the diving headbutt, flashes all over the place. Once again, when the walls at the top of the ladder, just all these camera flashes.
Yeah,
I was like,
it's a
geez,
good
I
point.
forgot that happened all the bloody time.
Red Hot Crowd All event as well, actually.
It
Another
goes
thing that
back to the
deserves to be
point, though.
said.
It goes back to the
Well,
point.
apart from the World Championship match, they were dead for that.
Well, but
They had a lot to do with before that. They were exhausted.
True, it is.
Like a 5-hour mania. They were just Where were we? Sorry, segue again. Bombshell tonight. Bring it home.
new host in town tonight, is there?
No, old host, new name.
Yeah, I'll try this again. As I was saying, we go to New Orleans.
Nolans.
Again, it's Vince knowing that he doesn't need to use New York anymore, and he's able to go, but he's going down to these towns that he knows he's getting a reaction out of. You know, the likes of Louisiana, the likes of the Carolinas, the likes of Texas and stuff like that. That's where he knows you're guaranteed to get pops, especially later on in the game. But we move on to the I suppose again the pre-main event, as we always call it, and it's the main event because it's unless anyone wants to talk about Ivory.
I was just about to say, you're missing the women's championship match there, pal.
Well, yeah, it's 3 minutes. Right, Joe, let's do it then for 2021 so there's no snowflake falling on my head.
China baits the piss out of Ivory and then re-injures herself in the most low impact thing that she did in the entire 2 minutes.
Fact.
So It was like, I think there should have been just a little distraction from Stevie Richards and Ivory hit her a slap in the neck or hit her with a pile, just something with a bit of impact to it. It was so low. Like the whole crowd just went, what? Because it was the lowest impact
this
thing.
isn't the women's revolution yet. That's
yeah.
You know, this is still where women's wrestling was. Oh,
Now Ivory sold brilliantly for her. You know what I mean?
well, she's a good worker. Yeah.
Yeah. She sold brilliantly. Stevie Richards did his thing on the outside. Like China did nothing wrong.
No.
It was solely whoever booked that little flip back where she bumped into her in the corner, and that they said that re-injured her neck. I was just like, nah, that's nonsense. Now, as I said, they could have done something, you know, where if she hit her in the back of if she hit her in the neck with the belt or something, and she lay prone, just something like that. There was more impact than that. I just thought that was just very low impact, which killed the crowd. Like everyone just died after that. Like,
well, that's it. And there you go. So like, you can't report us to YouTube or Facebook or whatever. I'm going like, oh, they didn't talk about the women's match, so we did. So there we go, and we move on. We move on to Kurt Angle with Trish Stratus, of course, against Triple H with Stephanie McMahon, and obviously in the show we see Drew Carey coming in to talk to H earlier in the show. He goes in to talk to H and Steph, and Steph obviously brings her over to Trish, trying to say that, like, you know, they're trying to insinuate that Trish is some sort of a lady of the night, some sort of harlot, which is not true. But this is obviously what Steph and Triple H do, because they're bad guys, and this is obviously the longest match on the card, bar the main event.
oh, what a shocker! Triple H in the longest match.
Yeah. Okay.
Takes time to tell a story properly, you know.
Well, for him, yeah. So let's. I mean, this is one of Triple H's. Again, I don't think it's one of Triple H's most amazing matches, because again, it's a wrestling match without gimmicks. Except the gimmicks on the outside.
I would disagree with you there a little bit.
I'd like to debate this with you. So come at me, King.
Because
let's get it on.
Yeah, when I look back at this match, one of the things that came through that I noticed was he had targeted Kurt Angle, and he had targeted a body part, and he focused on that body part, shades of Arn Anderson, and I just thought that was real.
Very original, yeah.
Yeah, well, not necessarily original,
traditional
but
wrestling,
traditional, and I just thought it was really good.
Yes.
That's where it ended. That's where it ended, Jay.
And I liked the way he the way he hit him with the chair on the knee on the outside and stuff like that.
Oh, you had to get a chair in, yeah.
Yeah, well, it has to be done, you know. Sledgehammer chair, whatever's going, it's all good, you know.
Who knows a heel that can't get over without, you know.
And then when he brought him into the ring, he put a lot of work into the knee. But what was exceptional in it as well was, if you look at the transition from Angle from 2000 into 2001, he became an absolute monster in the ring. The way he sold for that knee injury, he was selling for that knee injury out of moves that like weren't even relevant to. A lot of workers would have forgot about the fact that he had injured the knee and worked it for so long. And I thought Angle's work at selling the injury of the knee, and Triple H just like methodical focus on going back to the injury all the time. I thought it was really strong in the match. And I just thought it was really, really good. But what happened was it had reverted back to like an old school wrestling type match. And I think because the crowd had been spoiled with the Dudleys and Edge and Christian and all this other stuff, I think when they came down to this match, which was like an old school, I'm going to work this body part.
The reason everybody was in the room to begin with, fucking wrestling.
Yeah, and I just really, really enjoyed it probably from an old school point of view. I accept that the fact that like there wasn't a whole lot of gimmick in it and stuff like that, but like you're talking about two really, really good wrestlers in there pulling off a really good old school match, and like, you know, tip the hat to the likes of Arn Anderson and stuff like that. I just thought it was really, really good as a throwback. I think he even threw on a figure 4 at one stage and everything and all in it.
What did they call it? It was something weird. It was lovely though. You're ready.
Figure 4. It's a
no. It was there was something else he named it. It was.
You do it in the ring, Joe. To you all the time. It's like a Dynamo Kid used to do it. It's
hot pan, hot tag.
Yeah, it's like a sort of it's like a side-on version of it nearly or something like
Yo,
that.
tag me in.
But I just
Don't
thought it was
tag him, man.
I just as a traditionalist, I just enjoyed it from that point of view. I
Do you
thought
know
the
what?
way
No,
that it went.
that's fair.
Hot
that's
tag,
fair.
hot tag. Let me level it down to you in a couple of sentences. The untrained eye will refuse to see what it needs to see to be in the conversation. And no, we didn't miss. We hit every time. That's what we do. Bullseye, baby. That's why we're here. Whoop, whoop. But no, it's the untrained eye will refuse to see what it needs to see for its reason to see. It was the first match of a pro wrestling standard on this whole card, which was an excellent card, by the way. But it felt like what I love about the sport. It felt like the shit that I hark back to in the golden era. And H is that. He's the beacon of a culmination of what we love in the business. And Kurt Angle stepped into that role as well, seamlessly in 2 years. He became a consummate professional wrestler.
Can I ask you a question there?
Shoot.
A beacon of what we love in the business
Yeah.
is Triple H. Yeah, like
No. If you can't separate his gimmick from his,
I can. I said this last week. This is what I'm asking you, though. I'm asking you this because you're talking about one pro wrestling match that you, as in an actual pro wrestling match with Triple H, saying that he's a beacon of what you love. No, I'm not. But like, you're saying that he's a beacon of what professional wrestling is.
Yeah. His mental ethos and what he's brought into bringing the past forward with him.
Okay.
It is true.
Okay. No.
It
Okay.
absolutely is true.
No, because what you said there, yeah, 100%. I agree with you.
You've got to hold the torch for the past to be passed to the future. You have to be a bridge for something to get to point A to point B and disregard the fucking wayward segues of a business like the ECWs with their dead alumni and their garbage matches and their fucking violence. Just for the story to be told, it must be told in an arcane way, but with an eye to the future. And there's certain men who do this. They take the torch, pass the baton
Triple
forward.
H could usually only do this in a way where it's like with weapons or with gimmicks or with.
No, I don't find that to be true.
Okay, well then name 5 matches that Triple H has had where there is no weapons or gimmicks or anything.
Easy. Every match he had where there was no weapon, gimmick, or fucking.
Name 2 then instead of 5.
What do you want? Names and names.
Yeah.
I don't have the chronological memory for this
because
particular.
It doesn't happen. Because it doesn't.
Oh,
happen.
Okay. So 30 years of the man in the business.
That doesn't necessarily knock the man down off any level, really, with what you're coming across.
No,
with there.
he meets.
There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong.
No, you're putting him on
gimmick.
an Arn Anderson and Harley Race level.
No. I was saying
echoes.
No, I was saying that the approach to this match, from a psychology point of view and the working of a body part, was like Arn Anderson or Hardy Race level. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
It went on for 25 minutes, and in my opinion, it's
good.
A match that went on too long.
No,
but that's fine if that's your opinion.
Told in 10 or 15 minutes, but again, it's a Triple H match, so of course it's got to be.
Some people like long books. Some people like long movies.
Well,
you know what I mean. Some people skip to the cum shot.
Yeah, I read some reviews.
Some people need a ladder.
I read some reviews of this match, and I have some here. Match went way over time.
You're listening to some reviews of this match right now.
Oh, yeah?
Who do you need to? You need to go. Yeah, me and him are reviewing the match. We all watch the same match with the same eyes. We have different perspectives. That's why there's 4 of us sitting here, baby.
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely.
Yeah, you have to remember in this match as well, there was an underlining sort of storyline going on there with Stephanie and Trish that had to be kind of told outside of the match. And you also have to remember you had Austin coming down to interfere.
Austin running in.
So like there's a lot of that went on as well. When you take a lot of that out, you're really nearly paired back to a 15 or 16 minute match.
Well, no, let's not look at that. Let's look at why Triple H is Arn Anderson or
you have to look at that though.
Or Harley Race.
No, but you
synergy, baby.
A beacon of professional wrestling. This is what I want to know.
But you don't think when you look at Triple H's ring work, you don't think it represents in somewhat Arn Anderson in the way Arn Anderson used to focus on body parts and be cerebral about it?
No, because Arn Anderson could have a 10, 15-minute professional wrestling matches without any gimmicks and still come across as Arn Anderson and be the best of the best. So yes, I think it's a disservice to say that Triple H is in the same league and tell it the same story that someone like a Ricky Steamboat or an Arn Anderson or a Harley Race could tell The Triple H isn't in
Well, I
that.
tell you what, let's make it bigger than singular matches. Let's make it bigger than singular identities via a dance. You name me one other professional wrestler who's held firmly, so tightly, that fucking era of professional wrestling and joined it to the future and being the fucking bridging link. It was like, if you need me to hold a hammer, I'll hold it. But if you need me to do a double A spine buster and let these children know by those two words via commentary, Daddy, what's a double A spine buster? Well, why don't you use your Wikipedia to find out, you little bitch?
Well, I'll
Like,
also tell you.
Name me somebody who's bridged top flight professional wrestling.
There's also
succinctly.
Yeah, but it's also coming out now that a lot of guys that were supposedly the babies in NXT that are coming out saying that isn't the case.
I don't need people from NXT to tell me that the guy who fired them is a nice guy. I'm not looking for anybody to suck dick. I'm telling you what I've seen
but I'm not going to give you
visually over 30 years. Like when I'm sitting there with people who didn't know what a Harley Race was or an Arn Anderson was, and I did because I'm balls deep in that fucking golden age, golden era, and they turn around and go, "What's an Arn Anderson?" I'm like, "Sit down, and I'll tell you a tale of a rugged man, looked like a Mountain Jack fucking serial killer with those library glasses." Do you know?
You can't question the influence that Triple H has had on NXT. I know we're digressing here.
Did I say that? We've
you turned around and said that guys have come out and said that bridge is not the case.
No, I didn't turn my head once. That's for a start, so I'm going to correct you there. I mentioned something, and you jumped on it and said, "No, your opinion is wrong." I believe that I am one of the people that has every right to talk about how good a wrestling match can be or what it takes to make a wrestling match be good.
But see, at no point did I say your opinion was wrong. I agreed with first of all, I agreed with you in terms of gimmick matches.
And you said no, and I let you speak, and now I'm trying to speak. And every time
the untrained eye will always wonder why.
And I am what?
I said the untrained eye will always wonder why. I can't walk you through. Go on.
What are you trying to insinuate there?
I'm not insinuating that. And what I'm saying in this perspective is 90% of everything, 10% is fucking hope, wish, and prayer. I'm not saying you have an untrained eye. I'm saying the picture is bigger than the one you're looking at. As our business, the one we love, the one we sit around and fucking spitball and diatribe about, if we want to progress what we do going forward, we have to take every avenue and access to the fucking square circle and propagate its values so that there's new generations and legacies born. Now, you know what? Fucking, if we want to, as much as I detested that garbage side of fucking wrestling, that bullshit fucking 10 super kicks every 15 fucking seconds with some fucking bins and skips and people fighting with fucking barbecues and fucking scalding hot kettles, well, fuck off over there and watch your bleeding alumni die before the 29. But if we want legacy wrestlers who have 50 and 60 and 70 years in the business and turn around and open up schools after an age and say, well, this is how you train well, this is how you train good, and this is how you keep a guy safe. We need people like H to propagate that side of the wrestling so we have it in 100 fucking years.
How have we gone from that, from this match being over long, like 24 minutes to what Triple H is doing right in the world?
24 minutes is short. I've taken longer shits than that, man.
But I agreed with you on the length of the match. I agreed with you on that point. I didn't disagree with you.
Well, the great thing about it is that this is live and recorded, so people will know that you didn't agree with me.
No, I agreed with you on the length of the match, and I tried to further go along and explain why the match was longer than it should have been. No. I spoke
mitigating circumstances. We had 3 minutes for Mott's fucking bashing each other, one of them wearing bleeding Linda McMahon's diamonds or some silly shit. I wasn't listening to that bit. I was staring at something else.
He's just going to agree with Niall. So now it's time for me.
No, he's not. Look.
Now it's time for me and the Beef to come in and agree with each other.
Bring in the Tash.
Exactly.
I was just explaining why I enjoyed the match.
Yeah. And it was a brilliant match.
Explaining why I didn't think it was a great...
Fades of a bygone era.
Yeah.
An industry built on the fucking shoulder of giants. May you remember that.
An industry that I broke my back for, my friend. So continue there, Beef.
But I'm with you on this one, Ian. I thought it was way too long.
Yeah.
Also, the heel versus heel aspect of it, the crowd were dead for most of this match. Now, I enjoyed the match, don't get me wrong, and I enjoyed the wrestling and all that kind of stuff, and as Niall said about the targeting of a limb and really going to town on it. Like, I did enjoy
Which
it.
I do agree with, Niall, by the
Yeah,
they were silent when Jesus wept. Go on.
but yeah, you have to like the crowd weren't all that into this match until Trish and Steph got into. Pardon?
I said they didn't know what they were looking at.
Well, no, yeah,
Let
probably,
the man
yeah, no, I
finish.
get that. You know, the heel versus, a heel versus heel match is always tough to get across to a crowd.
Yeah.
You know, because they don't know who to cheer for. Like,
who did you
every
actually?
time was a-
Who did you think, like, in terms of action? You know the way, like, when it is heel versus heel, usually someone will morph into the baby face. You know, in certain spots. But who did you think came across as the baby face in this?
Oh, it had to be Kurt. Well, it was Kurt Angle because he was paired with Trish, and Triple H went after his ankle. You know, sorry, after his knee. So, but the crowd just weren't
H is
into
one of
this.
the best heels of all time, by the way. I just want to say that right
Who?
now. H.
Kurt. Oh, H.
Well, so was Kurt, but H.
Kurt was brilliant too. But the crowd were dead until Trish and Steph got involved, and then they died again until Austin came out. But no, I do take your point, Jay, that they didn't know what they were looking at. It was a good bloody match, like. But with a dead crowd like that, it can be a bit hard to get into.
There's a secondary argument here as well, Joe. You just touched on it. Is this what happens when we start slowly introducing tables, ladders, and chairs to the great unwashed? You know, when it stops being Shakespeare and it starts being fucking Saw.
Great point.
It's
great point, Jay.
Sorry, what's the point in communicating a story when all they want is the cum shot?
That's a great point, Jay. That's a great point. Yeah, exactly. You're flicking through, as you said, 10 minutes of porn to get to the last, 30 seconds. Yeah, I'd agree with that. No, again, like I said, I don't think. Again, I think it's a match that went on way too long. I think in this instance, and I don't know whether it's anyone's fault, is that they weren't listening to the crowd or kind of seeing it.
Yeah,
they wanted to get their shit in, and that was it. H had a match, or H and Angle had a match planned out, and they were getting it done no matter what. Sometimes old school guys would have, probably judged that a little bit differently, and maybe kind of said, right, we'll shorten.
Funny, I didn't even notice the crowd in this. I was so enthralled in I believe I texted somebody in this.
You text me
the intensity of H.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice the crowd. I mean, I'm listening for a crowd pop, and I don't know where the narrative is going. I couldn't give a fuck about a story falling on deaf ears when the words are wasted on the imbeciles to begin with. I don't give a fuck about them bleeding popcorn munchers if they can't appreciate fucking highbrow theater of a most physical manner. Fuck them in their futures. This was excellent storytelling. I could have done another 15 minutes of it. Yeah, fuck them. Where are they now?
Let's do that match now tomorrow in the performance center, empty.
No, I mean, look,
we digress. Obviously, Kurt is the champion. He defeats Triple H, holds on to the title.
A victory for wrestling.
Victory for
the sport. Yes.
Well, it definitely is, because Triple H actually lost. So we move on,
as he is wont to do for the business.
No, we move on.
As we've said on many occasions, sometimes the loser wins.
we get on to
moving swiftly on.
Let's get on to the main event, the 30-man Royal Rumble. Yeah. This is now, I mean, it's a very, very different, I'm sure you'll agree, lads, it's a very different Rumble, obviously, to the 1992 one. But like Joe mentioned,
yeah, there's wrestling in it.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. But Joe actually said at the start, it's a lot more star-studded than the previous year, and obviously that's something that they probably took into account, I would imagine. And a perfect example, they opened the Rumble with Jeff Hardy, who stays in not for the longest time. I think his period of time he stays in is 636, and of course he gets eliminated later on by his brother, which is again, great storytelling, right? I mean, that's Arn Anderson storytelling right there. I'm only joking. No,
shades of proper wrestling.
Let's actually go through before we do it. Well, let's look at the cast, right? We'll look at the cast. Jeff Hardy, Bull Buchanan, some people may remember or may not. Big guy.
John Cena's pal.
Yeah, very much so. Matt Hardy, Farouk, Mr. Ron Simmons, Drew Carey. I mean, like, say what you want, but that is a it's a young star that they bring into the Rumble, and it's a surprise and whatnot. And when you're looking at the narrative of how the show is going, it's kind of warranted, and it's still talked about today. Kane comes in, which obviously we can give that one away. Kane gives him the old pile driver. Raven, Al Snow, Perry Saturn, Steve Blackman, Grandmaster Sexay, rest in peace, Honky Tonk Man, The Rock, The Godfather, Taz, Bradshaw, Albert, Hardcore Holly, K Quick, Val Venus, William Regal, Test, Big Show, Crash Holly, The Undertaker, Scotty Too Hottie, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Billy Gunn, Haku makes an appearance once again, and then last in Rikishi. So, I mean, this is actually a lot more star-studded than the previous year, without a shadow of a doubt. And, I mean, if we're looking in there, lads, we're looking at the Hardys. We know they're not going to be world champions yet, but we're also looking at people like, say, Undertaker could win it, for sure. Stone Cold Steve Austin could win it. I mean, people probably did know it was going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. Let's be fair. The Rock is in it. So, obviously, there you go. That's 3. So, you're looking at 3 really off the bat.
The 4 Taker as well. There's four you can't write off.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, Taker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Rock.
And Kane.
Maybe look at Kane and the Big Show would be. So, that's 5 guys there that you're thinking.
Well, not so much the Big Show, because the Big Show was injured.
It was a surprise. Yeah. It was a surprise that night. Yeah. 6. Honky Tonk Man. 6. 6 who could have won it.
7, actually. 7 because
Haku.
No, but they were pushing Rikishi big at that time, lads.
They were pushing Rikishi. Yeah, he was in that Austin storyline, wasn't he?
And
he had a strong showing after the year previous, the one we just did, didn't he?
And and also they were pushing Billy Gunn at the time too, like the one Billy Gunn.
Yeah, that's fair.
So the last 6 that were in there. Now, granted, you had the 4 that had more of a chance than Billy Gunn and Rikishi, but they were pushing.
No, that's fair
at the time, like.
Would anyone?
That's fair. Going forward in Rumble terms, in Rumble talk, with a 30-man, all bets are off. Anybody can get it done. You talk about 2 categories: potential victors and contenders. And the Billy Gunns and whoever they're pushing hot that year are obviously contenders. They're mid-carders, but the dice is thrown. So that's a fair way of breaking up who could possibly win the Rumble. Whereas the year previous, we had 2.
Yeah, exactly. We only had 2, yeah.
The point I've always thought, actually, as well, I don't know whether you agree or disagree with this one, lads, but I've always thought, like, Noel, actually, you might, because obviously Rumble's always been your show. Do you think, I've always wondered why, the guy that loses the championship, in the match beforehand, it's very rare you see him in the Rumble. I would have always liked to see that, because that lad is obviously going to be raging. And he's still obviously, he's fucking, his blood is flowing. He's pissed off that he's lost the match for whatever reason. Surely that guy wants to come out and fucking get a last ditch to get another shot at that guy at Mania.
I suppose the thinking behind it is, from a psychological point of view, is that if you're beat up so bad from a previous match, you're not going to have the ability to go in there in a 30-man Rumble and pull it off, So from a psychological point of view, I mean, if you look at Triple H in the previous match, he'd obviously gone through a war.
Got battered, yeah.
You know what I mean? So for him to run back out, it would.
But I mean, if he came out at number 30 or something, that gives that little element of doubt. Do you know what I mean? To the fans, they're like, oh shit. He's at the draw on like number.
But I suppose we have to look as well. WWE normally use the Rumble as their platform for the road to WrestleMania. So they're laying down their storylines at that point. You know what I mean? So
you've also got a rubber match. If you're of that quality and you just drop the belt,
and then you get
you've got your rubber match.
Yeah. You've lost twice in one night. Like
yeah.
So like, if someone of Triple H's ilk, then it's different. Like, but like say it's. If it had been Rikishi in a fucking main event or something, he could make one last stab at it. You know what I mean? But it's not something that they tend to utilize. I think they could utilize it maybe in certain situations.
Yeah.
But
Um,
the
I think it was clear. I think it was clear we were pushing on to Mania season as well, because these guys, again, I've never seen such a collection of superstars in such great condition. I mean, these guys were jacked to the gills.
oh, the doctor was back.
Yeah, big time, big time, big time.
The doctor was
Uh,
back.
but,
Ed,
I think
you wanna
I
add
think
in there,
another
John?
reason. Sorry, I think another reason they don't have the loser of the championship match in the Rumble either is they're already guaranteed a rematch.
The rubber match
So,
further down
yeah.
the pike
Yeah, you
mid-season
know what I mean. So,
after Mania. Yeah.
so you could have a Royal Rumble title match with say Kurt Angle, Triple H, because they fought at this one. Then Triple H goes into the Royal Rumble match. You know what I mean, and say he wins it, right? And then you could be having that match repeated again. Only what, a month, just over a month, 2 months
After you
later.
had it.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
It'd have to be a super hot program for a mitigating circumstance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would. It'd have to be something extraordinary, like, you know. It'd
well,
have
we
to be
also,
a Rock Austin level kind of
yeah.
rivalry to
Yeah.
warrant them
But
having them so close together, I think.
We
I
also
agree.
we also
I
have to
agree.
take we also have to take into account as well that Triple H did come out and try to take the eventual winner out, in terms of costing him the belt in the previous match, which again,
Storytelling.
you know, cements my opinion on Triple H. In fairness, and the way that he took Austin apart, like he brutalized Austin, so I just thought it was just I thought it was incredible in terms of the reversal of fortune, and then Austin to go in there bloodied up and still pulled off the Rumble win, which I thought it brought Austin to that level. You know what I mean? It was right up there. You know.
Yeah, complete underdog. Well, what I loved about that, and it's aspect of storytelling, right? You could easily write it off being oh look, hyper blood, fucking hardcore, blah 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 blah. But I hark again back to the old days of, you know, oh my god, they've knocked him down with a car. It was a hatchet job on camera. He fucking went in on him, and the cunt was pissing blood, lying in the fucking alleyway before it storytelling. Do you know what I mean? A story that spans 2 matches on the same card on the same night is different level. It's
Yeah. Well, you can see. I mean, you're gonna get that level of brutality when a guy has just cost you a title. You know what I mean? Like imagine if
visceral.
imagine if you're equating that to real world situation. This guy just cost you your title. You're gonna absolutely obliterate him.
Yeah,
You know
like
what I
imagine
mean?
Donald Trump being cost his lost votes. Do you know what I mean? And I put that in inverted commas.
Next.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean. Next, like, I'm gonna get that motherfucker one day down the line.
But what
My mafia boys, fuck him.
Yeah, but I suppose what it did do was it gave you the impression that, like, I mean, most people looking at that match for the first time and stuff like that would have thought that Austin wasn't even going to make it to the ring, to be honest.
Yeah,
you know
he was
what I
in
mean? Like, so
bits.
he was proper beat up, and even when one of the entrances, I think it was Scotty Too Hotty or something like that, came down dancing to get in the ring.
Yeah.
Austin walked by him, and Austin was crawling along the railing, just oozing claret, like. And it was an incredible image to see, like Triple H. The way Triple H beat him down reminded me of the way he used to beat Foley down at that time. Remember later on when he bet the piss out of Flair backstage or something like that.
But that was a you cost me my
beatdown.
belt beatdown. That was
exactly.
it transcended normal beatdowns. Like, son, you fucked with how we feed me children. You
I have a
fucked
legitimate
up. I'm
beef
going
with you
to
now.
kill you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna punch a hole in your head. Yeah. It was.
Just on what Niall was saying there about, you know, people watching it for the first time would think, Jesus, is Austin actually going to make it to the ring? And I've seen the 2001 Rumble more than once, and I was actually doubting that he actually made it back to the ring. Genuinely, I was just like, Jesus, I'm pretty sure he did make it, but now I'm wondering if he did or not. Like, that's such a blatantly
I remember watching it for the first time when I seen Austin get the beatdown. I actually thought they were going to replace him with someone, and that person was going to win the Rumble. That's what I thought was going to. Or I thought they were actually going to replace him with Triple H, and Triple H was going to go in and win the Rumble because he had given Austin such a beatdown. You know,
that would have been a lovely angle.
Yeah,
when you're taking back for the big event.
Yeah. For someone who's already seen it, I genuinely thought, geez, am I remembering this wrong? Like, because the beating he did take, like, but a couple of things that I noticed from the match itself, like Drew Carey was, a bit of nonsense, but his selling was dog shit because he was smiling through the whole thing, but he was smiling because he was loving every second he was out.
Fan.
He was
Love
loving
the
it.
business, yeah.
And like Kane's pyro goes off and he starts, and his music is on. He's walking in the ring, and Carey's supposed to be shitting himself, and he just can't stop smiling. He absolutely loves every second he's in there. But like his selling was crap. But one bit that actually made me genuinely wince was the Al Snow with the bowling ball to Raven. I genuinely just went, oh! I didn't enjoy that at all.
Some men take risks for the business, and Ravens one of them, and it wasn't for the big money.
I mean, that was probably a night off for them in terms of what they're doing in ECW, So.
Yeah, still alive, still happy to be earning. Just swing that ball and get the 7-10 split.
I think Joe as well. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention Haku's hair.
Oi,
It was
marked out big.
But,
it was the second Rumble in one day.
point.
I watched Haku ran down, and I totally marked out for him. I'm not gonna lie. Again, rhythms of the events.
Yeah.
And he.
Sorry, Joe.
You've Haku and Taker, who were both in the '92 Rumble. They were both made a reappearance on this. But also, what a difference a year makes. Taz comes in, done after beating Angle.
You know what? We're not going to go with you, Taz. You're just too small.
Yeah, just I just went, geez, what a difference a year makes. Just brought out straight up, bang, God, done.
Did you see that when he ran down, Joe? Did you see the sign the guy was holding up just outside of the ring?
I've had bigger craps than Taz or something, was it?
And the first thing I thought of when I seen Taz go over the rope was, and you know what, Taz? They lasted in the ring longer than you just did too.
In the ring as well. Yeah. You know what?
Yeah.
You know what this show didn't have though? It had Honky Tonk Man. Didn't have Greg Valentine, in fairness. That was also a bit of a problem for me. But it didn't have Lord Alfred Hayes.
Didn't, no.
No.
I think that's
well. They probably broke up their. I'm thinking back on it now, and what you were saying earlier on, Ian, I'm kind of. You know the way Silver Vision was an English company who did all of their European broadcasts,
Sure, yeah.
and they were switching. Maybe Lord Alfred was their token. We'll get an English guy to talk on some of our pay-per-views. How would that be?
You know what, Jay? I would not be surprised.
Yeah,
if you're correct.
Yeah, when Silver Vision's contract ended, so did, bless him, Lord Alfred Hayes.
Maybe the Queen pulled the plug because I mean he's a lord. Maybe the Queen pulled the plug and went, no, we don't want to.
One says one thinks this is bullshit. Take the Lord that's home to the country and get him out of this program. It's like,
and that was shortly after your Queen, you United Kingdom people, as much as I love you, your Queen got getting rogered and your man just jumped out of the window. So Lord Alfred.
The other thing I noticed. The other thing I noticed as well is R-Truth ever going to age?
Oh, he's a vampire.
Never.
Same with Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn looks the exact same now.
It's scary.
They're lizard people.
Yeah, the two of them look the exact same.
Definitely.
Another weird thing I found with this
people, definitely not.
One thing I found, another weird thing I should say I found about this Rumble is the Spanish announce table survived it.
Yes, this was actually that's actually something I thought about when I was watching that today. Thanks for bringing that up, Joe, because I was going, I'd say they were
Spanish announce table survived the whole thing. The English one got
Vince likes us, comprende?
I just found it really weird. Sorry, it was just a weird little thing that I wrote down.
And I apologize.
I
also apologize to all Spanish people for my really, really bad impression of their accent there and comprende. So my apologies there.
Steph and Trish weren't heavy enough to go through it.
They just rolled.
And I also apologize for Niall's, blast. What he just said there. Even though all people fat at the start.
That wasn't derogatory. That wasn't derogatory at all. What he said, it was acute and aware.
Joe, here's
so am I. I'm just making things up, Dick. It's
So
a work.
aren't we all?
What-
And this is the great
what-
thing about it, lads. I think this comes.
I'm
to-
not really Roy.
This actually comes to the time where we kind of come to our conclusion at the end of this, and this is kind of the first, obviously, in four Podman history, where we have to look at the two pay-per-views and kind of give our own little comparisons. I don't necessarily think we need to, where we need to. We aren't Dave Meltzers or anything like that. We don't need to grade them or anything like that. But we can
No.
do it in our own little individual way, I guess. Noel, I suppose I'll start with you, my friend. You like what did yeah, just give your thoughts on both and what you felt from both and what you prefer, I guess, would be the best way of saying that.
I thought looking at both of them, I kind of enjoyed both of them, but for different reasons. I liked sort of the 92 one in terms of its old schoolness and its approach to the Rumble match and stuff like that. And I love all that old school heel finger poking stuff and all that kind of stuff. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, because you you were the one that pointed out that the Ric Flair, like the stamp and the little,
Yeah, he does the little sort of jig into it, doesn't he? He sort of jigs
It's
into
like
it,
it's like
you know?
I'm actually trying to just
Yeah.
blind you rather than
Yeah.
take your eye out. Like
He's trying to give you that
Almost wants to
feeling.
gouge you.
Yeah, he's trying to give you that feeling that he's putting your fingers right into the back of the fingers right into the back of the eyeball, you know. But he's barely even touching you. Like,
Yeah.
But I thought 2001 for me really stands out. You know what I mean? It was like there was a lot of really good stuff in there, and as you said, there was a lot of people who could have won it. And there was a lot of talent in there. It was stacked with talent compared to like when you compare it 2001 to 2000, they're poles apart. Poles apart in terms of development, you know what I mean? So for me, I would say 2001 shades it, even though I'm kind of like old school in my way to like wrestling and stuff like that. But I think 2001, I think the level of talent, the way it was kind of structured, and again, we haven't even talked about the structure of the match and the way it went, where they were clearing house and then filling up and clearing house again.
Yeah,
it was done in
Don't worry about that. I got you. I will.
Yeah, but it was done in a real good way. So for me, I think 01 shades it, even though I'm a huge Ric Flair fan. I'd obviously be a huge Austin fan as well, but I think that 01 one shaded it for me.
Shaded it for you. What about you, Joe?
Geez, it is a tough one because I really enjoyed both pay-per-views, I have to say.
Me too. It's a great,
like the only thing out of the two pay-per-views, the only thing, like there was one match on each that I wasn't crazy about. And the 92 one was the Bushwhackers against the Beverly Brothers. It was all shtick. It was too much for me. I couldn't.
Popcorn.
Yeah, and the other one was the finish to the China Ivory match. Just about it to use such a low impact move to or to re-injure herself. But I think I'm with Niall on this. I think there's more iconic moments in 01 than 92. Like 92, of course, you have the title on the line in the Rumble match. And, you have Piper winning the Intercontinental title. But I think just 2001 shades it because you have that Jericho Benoit match, which was just full of highlights and iconic moments. And then I thought the Rumble match itself, the Rumble match in 01 was a lot better than 92 because there was actual wrestling in it. And also, I forgot to mention
wrestling in a Rumble match.
Pardon?
There's not meant to be wrestling in a Rumble match, though.
Well, there was in 01. maybe not.
There should be more than punches and back rakes.
Yeah.
No, it should be trying to throw the other cunt out so you can go to WrestleMania.
But something I failed to mention earlier was when The Rock and Austin finally faced off against each other. And that shot of Austin with the bloody face and just that stare he gives The Rock was just sent chills down your spine. Like, it was unreal. But I'm going with Niall. I'm going 01 as much as I liked, as much as I enjoyed 92.
I'm going to go next, and I'm going to let Jay go last on this one because we know Jay's going to go for hours anyway. So let's do that. And he is also the star of the show. Let's be real.
Whoa. He'd be nothing to do without Anton if he was sitting in his own bedroom talking to himself without any internet or any wrestling or any fucking friends. Perspective is everything, and anything that I have to say on anything is you, man.
Well, I'm letting you be the Sonic Cowl on this one at the end where you get I'm gonna go 92 purely for one reason, okay? Because I and Joe and to be honest with you, it's not by a massive gap. It's shaded as well. To be honest with you, I really did enjoy both pay-per-views. I think the two matches from me, actually three matches, should I say? Three was obviously the tag team match, the ladder match, and the main event with, and I say the main event with Triple H and Kurt Angle. Those matches I think were a little bit more solid than the build up to the main event of Rumble 1992. I think those matches definitely stand out a lot more than what 92's preliminaries had. Without a shadow of a doubt, especially the ladder match and the world title match. So I think for that reason I would say, on any other day I would give 2001 the bump. However, I think on this one I actually disagree. I think the Rumble 92 done exactly what it was meant to do. You're not meant to see wrestling in a Royal Rumble. You're not trying to, have a catch can match to eliminate your fucking opponent. You're trying to get rid of your opponent so you can go to WrestleMania and get that gold. In fact, you're actually trying to get that guy out as quick as fucking possible so you can keep your energy as much as possible so you can go to Monday Night Raw and brag about it. That's my version of it. You know what I mean? I'm not denying anything that you guys said. So for that reason, I preferred Rumble 1992, not just because of the cast that was there, but also we talk about iconic moments. I think the iconic moment for me is actually the pay-per-view that the promo that closes out the pay-per-view with Ric Flair, Mr. Perfect, Bobby Heenan, just him screaming down, like saying, "I told you I'd do it." That's iconic enough for me. Do you know what I mean? That's all I needed. So, without going on too long a spiel, that's the reason I picked 1992. But like I say, like minuscule, very close. Jay?
Where do you start? At the start.
We go back we'll start the whole show again.
I loved it. I loved it again. Watching the progress in the business in 9 years is fucking ridiculous. Like, I mean, we've got the first one. Every man, with the exception of the Orient Express, were full on fucking superstars. It was in the early days, charisma was more the vehicle which told what was to come, and it did its job so fucking well. Whether it was Gregory Valentine, our local hometown hero here at the Four Podmen, wrestling himself in the new boy in town, oddly enough, for the first time in his life, Ric Flair.
Figure 4, yeah.
Yeah, figure 4 versus figure 3.8, Gregory. That's not gonna do it. Get your deals ass carbon copy out of this ring, motherfucker. Woo! Comparatively, also on 90, the 92, they touched on things that still affect me to this day as an adult. I mean, I don't need to see Marty Jannetty come through a barbershop window again. It's become the Kennedy assassination of my life. You broke my heart, Sean.
Just as important.
It is. It's just like, you see the progression of the business, like from the all-star cast and the no music pops to the little and no wrestling. I mean, 92 was a punch fest. It is, with the exception of the outside the actual Rumble itself matches. You go look at the Rumble, there's no spots. It's just, right, get everybody who's on a lollipop or an ice cream or a sticker album, put them into the fucking ring and let people just mark out for characters. It was a character accentuation business back then. If you had a good gimmick, you got over. If you didn't, you were way fucking under and you won't got near the wrestling ring. And then we hit fucking 01. There was more pro wrestling in one match than there was in the whole fucking card back in 92. But again, it doesn't take away from 92. It shows growth. It shows a business and perpetuating itself forward to the point where, okay, now let's let the sport accentuate. Let's let the grappling. Let's let the dance take center stage. Like the storytelling in '01, I wasn't expecting it to be as enjoyable as it was first time around. As well, it was better now than when I watched it when it first went out. Like whether it was H's progressional storytelling through his own match into the Rumble and the smashing up of fucking Austin. I mean, comparatively speaking, we went from bar brawl to dance hall, and that's the only way I can say it. The first one was like a fucking John Wayne saloon fight in the middle of a cowboy. You know what I mean? Everybody's like,
Next thing, actually, could I say it actually evolved from the start of the show? It's actually really good because what you said
yeah,
there, Jay. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut across you, but just
no.
it actually it's a three-parter with Triple H in that particular pay-per-view because at the start he obviously has the segmentation with Stephanie when he's talking. He's like, "Look, whatever you and fucking Trish have, this is my match. I need to win this. This is more." He's basically saying this is more important to me than you are. So shut the fuck up and let me
Know
win.
your place, slow your roll.
Exactly. And then, sorry, I just thought I'd throw that in. So it's actually
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. There's and this is where I'm going to. We went from a business where we were just looking at to fucking progressive storytelling
hot
in
dogs.
9
Is what you're
years.
saying? Hot dogs.
Do you know what I mean? From hot dogs to soliloquy in 9 years. You know, from back break to
Hot
deep
dogs to
fucking fake.
Motorhead.
Like, yeah. And it's such an exponential growth in such a short time. We touched on it in our old McMahon segue, hark back, throwback, towards McMahon storytelling and his vision of the
Issue
business
9.
and on sale at every good news agent and retailer right now.
Issue 9. Stanley.
Plug me, baby, plug me. But we went from what was, big man bashing each other with punches all night to progressive storytelling, which perpetuated our business to the point where, I guess, to a lesser degree, where we are now. But, I mean, where am I? My notes. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Made men. The story in those 9 years, in '01, is the making of a professional wrestler and the understanding of the segmentation of your card as you propagate it to an audience who is willing to buy. The start of your card should be, low and upcomers. Then you've got your mid cards. Then you've got your top tier talent. And this Rumble was a story of the structured progress of talent. We had such a strong mid card. Now, I've talked about other mid cards in other eras before. But when you've got, like I said, contenders, potentials, and also runs, this Rumble had fucking... Kane was ridiculously fucking strong in this Rumble. Like, for the first 15 to 20 minutes, the deviation of his character from that fucking raised eyebrow style fucking hell mask, and boy, had been to the gym that month. I'm just running through people. And there was this point where you were just watching this Rumble, forgetting who was going to come in the last 15 to 20 minutes. And there was 4 to 5 men at any given time trying to chop this fucking behemoth down. Like, he was the red oak in the ring.
He's the
and you
guy
couldn't get past him.
that you need to get rid of. Yeah.
Yeah. Every man who came in, whether baby face or heel, we're looking at each other going, beat the living shit out of you in a piss house. But if we don't beat him together, we're nothing. And the progression of storytelling is like equal elevation and competitive separation of athletes, having them separate from each other and having them grow in different avenues, in different lanes, like greyhounds at the tracks, and not letting them intermingle or intertwine until there's one match where all bets are off. Every year is competent storytelling and progressive natural growth in the sport and in the business. And '01 had this fucking perfect. Even the fucking mid-carders you're looking at going, on any given day, Billy Gunn could probably wear the big strap only for he's another fella in the sports lackey, and but that doesn't matter. To the viewer you're looking at this, we can always hindsight and interject on shit when we know, and we've read the biographies and watched the shit, and half of them are fucking works to begin with. And the business, like I said, kayfabe is not dead. They just keep moving the goalposts, and we don't know where the striker's shooting from. But that's neither here nor there. It was a fucking brilliant Rumble. To think you can tell that many stories interwoven into each other in one 60-minute match, which is a fucking flesh performance of visceral and audio poetry, is exquisite. It was a brilliant Rumble. It was a brilliant Rumble for many factors. Even the fact that there's only 29 men in it and one Drew Carey. He's got a Hall of Fame ring for that. His sitcom was shit, and his whole career was pretty shit, to be
So
perfectly
is it
honest with you.
safe for me to say then, Jay, that your choice is, after all,
Is it?
the 2001 Royal Rumble?
Is it?
I don't know.
It could be. This is one of these things where we don't make decisions. The business is WW. Whatever follows it doesn't matter. The Rumble wins every year. When you go watch these back, I suggest after this week, what I've learned is watch them comparatively. Pick an odd Rumble and match it against a different Rumble.
Definitely.
And let yourself watch the growth and what you like about it as a sport.
That's a great choice. Yeah, watch the 1990
Wrestling
Royal
wins.
Rumble, for example, and match it up against the 2003 one. You know,
Yeah.
that's what
Let yourself figure out what you like in this business. I mean, look, they say get woke. Fuck woke. I prefer sleep. Get smart. No. Don't mark for life. Look, I enjoyed both of them for different reasons. One was a cavalcade of charisma, and the other was a cavalcade of storytelling and violence. And they happened in the same business, in the same company, 9 years between each other. We all win.
Yeah,
I prefer 92 for charisma. I prefer 01 for storytelling and progression in the business.
I like that, and I think that's a great way to kind of end the show. To be fair, Jay, thank you for that, because that's a great way to end the show. I think there's not much that can be said other than that. It's they're two completely different beasts, and they should be respected for what they are.
One is not nothing without the other.
Exactly. And on that note, we are going to call it a day. For me, Ian the Dynamo Kelly, for Niall Hogan, for Joe the Beef Duignan, for Jay Kennedy Warrior.
They were both missing something.
That is all we have time for this week, guys. And we will catch you next week when we will give you probably something new. It won't be a Rumble. It'll be something different. Who knows? We'll come up with something good, as we always do. But until that time, Dynamo is over and out.